Hi, guys, and welcome back to a special bonus fantasy edition podcast. Chase and I were just talking at the end of last podcast how we wanted to do a fantasy thing and thought, let's do it this week right before people pick their teams. So, to start it off, let's just start with Chase. How's it going, Chase? How's it going today?
It's going beautiful. How about
Beautiful.
yourself?
Oh, can't complain. Not one bit. Just lots of numbers and names, so my brain might be a little mush,
man.
but
No doubt, dude. Like, my name is so much. Like, I did a lot of homework here, so you guys will find on Twitter. If you go to Twitter, you can find all this nice hard work I've done here. I got the top 170 sorted out here, so my mind's a little, like he said, very frazzled. A lot of names, a lot of numbers, and yeah, I can hardly see straight. But.
Yeah, so go give that tweet some love for all the work Chase had to do. I can already tell he's dying from this.
3 days.
So give that tweet some love. Let us know what you think, where you think Chase fucked up, where you think you nailed it.
Yeah, exactly. Understand, it's free.
Yeah, exactly.
Mistakes, yes.
Yes, yeah. We're not getting paid to do this. There's gonna be something mistakes.
No, it's actually funny. Just like all of a sudden, I was like sitting there and I'm like, oh my god, I missed Tuevo Turbinen. He's not. Yep. He's no. I didn't put him anywhere. And then for another second, I was like, wait. What about the other Kachuk? Yeah, I just knew. I didn't even have to look through it. I ended up looking through it. It's like, fuck, like, goddamn. Okay.
Yeah, so may have missed a name
Kachuk,
or two.
And then I saw another Kachuk, and I didn't put the B in the, oh no, it was not good. So, yeah.
So if there's a name that he missed that's like, how would you miss this name? That's why. He missed Tuevo and Kachuk, so
yeah.
Just cutting some slack.
Into it, and I was like, oh yeah, this ain't too bad. And then I looked at it, just like I'm at like 48. I'm like, oh my god, I'm not even close to my list. Like, I didn't even dip into the 50-point guys, which is something I'm gonna dip into and have also may be out on the original tweet or not. I'm not sure. Once we actually release this,
it'll be on Twitter at some point. This will be out tomorrow.
At some point, I'll try to get it out as soon as possible, so maybe everybody or we can see it before the draft and whatnot.
Definitely. I can tell how much work you did because I started doing this at the top 10. I just started with the top 10. I moved that around so many times and I did it for an hour that my brain started to hurt so bad.
Yeah, hey.
Because it's impossible to nail it, obviously.
Yeah. Like technically what I did was, since we already did team previews and stuff, I had kind of half-assed projected points for all these guys already.
So you just transferred them.
For me, so I did a lot of transferring over and kind of just like how. Yeah. So basically, my rankings are like, this is basically how point projections are basically how I feel, like how basically comfortable I feel towards this guy,
right? Like,
and his production. You know?
Absolutely.
Like,
this is a safe. Like for example, Connor McDavid could realistically get more than the projected points you have.
Yeah, like
at 130,
projected at 150 in a lot of places. Like they have him projected doing what he did last year.
Absolutely.
Exactly, like getting 150, which
would be
unreal.
Cool, it won't happen, but it could.
I'm just being like, I want to be safe with like, I think this guy can truly get this much. Like, if you see players lower or higher, but with more or less projected points, it's simply the trust I have or don't have in them.
Absolutely.
And also like injuries, and also like it may
just a teaser for that injury note, sorry to cut in. There's one on this first page where you could definitely look at and have some question marks whether he'll be healthy enough to even be picked that high. So there's so many factors.
Like even guys will drop simply because I'm like, how much are you gonna play this year?
Absolutely.
I'm not sold you're playing 80. So maybe I'll drop. That's why I have a lot of guys dropped it 70. Like
exactly. For example, Malkin's missing the first 2 months of the season. Who's normally first round every year in this draft, at least second round. He might drop down to third or fourth because of missing time.
I got him dropping quite far to like he's a 79th overall, which is
pretty
low.
That's about 5 or 6 rounds in. So well,
But
for
when you think
hours.
about it, you miss like 20 games. You're playing 60 games then, and you still get 70 points. Like I got him projected to get 70 points.
Which would be
I have him
insane.
exactly. So like in all reality, you could definitely grab those guys a little bit earlier. Like there's
Absolutely.
a lot of this is grouping and that sort
Yeah,
of stuff.
yeah. A lot of guys who
now
can go between within 10 picks of each other. It's
yeah,
whatever
exactly.
style of team you like to have. And it also depends on the draft. This is correct me if I'm wrong. This is strictly based on points, pretty well, right? No shot blocking, no.
No, this is exactly.
Yeah. This isn't any fancy stats.
Yeah, my
explain
rankings
it.
are based off of goals equaling 3 points, assists equaling 2 points, and power play points equaling 1 point. So this isn't any shots or attempts or anything like that random to the side. It's just basically like you
which
can
is
do the
super
math
important.
as you see the numbers on there. It's more to give you like a basis of that because you can always in the first bit you're not drafting for who's getting the most shots and stuff like that anyways. You know, like the first round or two,
absolutely,
several rounds, because you start getting into goalies or a D-man or something.
Yeah,
like,
it just made point. My just thought with it. With
easier to you start looking at those stats later, I guess is what you
absolutely.
What you do, you know?
It's just something I brought up. So people that'll say, for example, Matthew Tkachuk, who if there's points for hitting, shot blocking, stuff like that, you might have him higher on the list based on he gets those extra physical stats, right? So that's what we're just trying to get across. This is strictly points based, scoring based, drafting. And for the goalies, how did you also rank them before we get into this? What did
goalies as
for
well?
point system?
Wins. Point system was wins was 3 points. Shutout just 1. Saves 0.2. Goals against will be minus 0.5, and just a 1 point for an OT loss. So fairly
basic,
modest and basic, exactly. So
yeah, absolutely. I just didn't want people to get lost in translation.
Yeah, so like you're really looking for games played and sort of stuff like that. Like
maybe not the best goalie, the one who plays the best or most. Sorry.
Yeah, you almost
on a
want
good
a guy
team
that's gonna play. Because I also did this towards a weekly thought, like a weekly lockup thought in a 13 sort of team, 13 team league. I know it's random to have 13, but that's just how many we have in our one. But yeah, I grouped a lot of the goalies and defensemen together. So a lot of these picks are more of like a favoritism pick. Like I'll give you an example. Like I'd almost take Fox before Hedman, Hamilton, Theodore, and Klingberg. Or do you take Fox that little bit jump ahead of the few goalies that are there and take them with Quinn Hughes, Barry, and Yossi? It's not a very far distance and that sort of stuff. Bringing McAvoy up because he could pop off, but are you willing to risk him just getting 50 for you or something like that? You know?
Absolutely.
But I think it's worth the risk on some of these picks just because if you're in a 12 team, 13 team league, you need you're going to want a defenseman, and these are at least decent number one defensemen, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely built a lot of my teams definitely defense heavy. I always got the big dog defensemen, not necessarily the best point getters, but always very, very consistent, which helped me. Not that I ever would win. So take my advice with a grain of salt. I have not won a fantasy hockey league, but I was constantly getting those. I made sure that my third or fourth defenseman was a Pietrangelo, a Drew Doughty, very steady. He will get you the 50 points. Might have a great year though.
Now that you brought up Drew Doughty, I like Drew Doughty this year because of the fact that it's go time for the Olympics. There's going to be a lot of guys that are just going nuts for the first bit of the season. You're really going to want to keep your eye out for those guys at the start of the year because these guys are going to be going nuts for the first half of the year trying to make this.
Yeah, the first month of the year, 2 months.
Probably not going to make it or something like that, like Sagan or something like that, man. Like, is he even gonna make it? Who knows, man? But like, if he wants to, he's gonna have a crazy year. To a 90-point pace or something like that.
Yep.
This first half of the year. If
he's on a point, if he's on a 1.5 points per game up until picking for the team, how do you not pick Tyler Seguin?
Yeah. So anybody anywhere near making that Olympic team, any sort of conversation of any of those guys, even just in general, man, like these guys want to mediocre guys, like even they want to try to make this stuff, whether it's pretty unrealistic. But yeah, Taylor Hall, like, you know, random guys that could be
a
kind
couple
of
young guys up for debate. I know a lot of Habs fans will be screaming Nick Suzuki, but Alexi Lafreniere, what if he goes 2 points a game and just is that number one projection we thought he was supposed to be?
What if he just pops out, gets 70, like
and
easy 60, 70? Like I have him at 60, I think, right now. So
exactly, what if he's crazy?
I'm assuming he's gonna do great, but like exactly, he could take a whole nother step past that.
Yeah, so he could just have the first year jitters, and then all of a sudden, boom, he is an elite winger. Very easily, and
it's not crazy to say that because
he's that highly.
To get, what did I have him getting, like 120 or something stupid? 110.
Panarin is you have him at 110. 110.
Yeah, so I feel safe with him getting 110 points.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Holy shit, I'm pretty sure Laffy can squeeze 60, 70 out of that year.
Yeah, especially if they play together, especially. So
yeah, no doubt.
And the power play.
If he does what you're kind of saying, he will be on a line like that, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
So,
but anyways,
should we just get right into it then and go through the list that we got, or is there anything else you want to bring up before we get through the list?
Yeah, I got a few things I just want to bring up just to get a good understanding of how and what I did. So, like I said, I was doing like grouping the goalies and defensemen together because it's more of like a favoritism pick. Like, do you believe in Yossi? Do you believe in Fox, Jones, Heiskanen, Dahlin? Like, are you willing to take those guys higher and be disappointed if they just have like a normal-ish 50-ish year or something like that? Do you want to act like Jones is a number one D-man and taking him higher above certain forwards is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yes.
Also, for like the 60 games played with the goalies, the 60 just means I believe they'll get the majority of the starts. Like, it's gonna be hard to get 60.
The Hellebucks of the NHL, the definitive number ones. John Gibson.
Yeah, the guys that just don't have anybody that's like awesome.
Don't have a great backup.
You're not gonna just play some like even like Swayman and stuff like that. Like, yeah, he can play 30 games for you, but like he doesn't really have to. And even if he does, he'll at least do good while he's doing it. Like, that's a good sort of thing. But you're not gonna steal so many starts, I don't think, away.
No, for sure. I mean, Swayman's a little different because Ullmark's injury history. If that happens again, but
yeah,
no, definitely.
And
if Rask's coming back, if he does come back,
no doubt. Like, that's not a bad sleeper sort of pick if you want to take
someone to put,
just to put on your
just
IR,
to keep
an IR spot. Like,
absolutely.
100%.
That's someone to keep an option out. If nobody else is looking at, have them pinned and keep an eye. And the second you hear rumblings of a contract, you should pick them up, just in case. Just in case. Worst case, you send them back out.
Yeah, I'd be very okay with keeping him on my IR all year unless I had lots of injuries or something, key injuries, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
Other guys to have on your IR, like Alex Touch, even Jacob Verana and stuff like that. If you really want to wait for Verana, might not be worth it.
He's someone you might look at picking up.
Pick him up, exactly. But I think Touch would be worth it because we don't know what this team's going to look like by the deadline and by the time he gets back. And
absolutely,
he could slide in a good spot. He's basically going to be Mark Stone one day, I hope.
I hope. Yeah, that's the goal. That he's basically, I think he would score more than Stone, but be a little less effective defensively. Not to say he'll be bad defensively, but I just think he might have a bit of that ceiling of a scoring.
I think he's Stone-esque. He's just not that good.
Yes, he's big, strong winger. Good. Strong skating winger.
He's what I thought Stone was before Stone really
popped off
into
exactly
until he really was like, wow, this guy blows you away.
Right before like a season or two before he left Ottawa. Stone.
So before we get into the first grouping here, this first grouping of players turned out to be 16 players that I feel that can get 90 points or better. So it's kind of cool that worked out, as they just kind of kept that going throughout the draft, having left on the left side 16 and right hand having 16 throughout the rest of the board. And basically, sorry, just give me a second.
Yep, no worries, just pulling it up. No, basically, like you were saying, these are all guys on this first page 90 plus point potential, and it goes
Yeah,
up from like 130 to right to 90, with some
yeah, exactly.
crazy good guys. And exactly, these are your guaranteed first rounders type.
Yeah,
the
you gotta
mix.
have them on like they gotta go in like your first round,
Yeah,
basically. Like
first,
these guys can help
latest,
carry
early
your
second.
team,
Yeah, absolutely. This
Mhm.
is what you build your team around. Is these type of players.
Yeah, and like when I got decently deep into it after I was doing a certain amount of rankings, and I got to a certain spot, like 48 or somewhere around that area, I was like starting to get confused and unsure how to start and how to keep ranking. So I switched to the whole I'm just gonna do like I'm doing a draft.
Yep.
Because in all reality, it comes down to who does a guy want? Who do you need? Are you gonna wait for a D man? Are you gonna wait for a goalie? Am I gonna take this goalie? Wait for this? That sort of
Right.
stuff. So that's kind of how I did the rest of the draft. So I can understand a lot of questions and why did this go that way and that way and that way. But did try to take like an approach to it as well, like grouping a few guys together, like have a few Montreal splashes together to if that goes well, you do well sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just that sort of stuff. Having teams that didn't take a goalie or took one goalie or something like that, left it, or like one team that I liked is taking Sorokin and what's his name back to back.
Varlamov.
No, what I did on the one team.
The fantasy team.
Knight.
Spencer Knight.
On the 13 team draft board, the Spencer Knight and Sorokin I took as a back to back because I needed another goalie. And in all reality, if you can keep those two guys, if you have those two guys, like that's just as good as having
it's your second
and
third
goalie
because
like that's as good as having one good second goalie because
absolutely
you're getting the wins.
Split time.
You may not get all stuff like that, but yeah, they'll split the time. You may have weeks where both of them will play one game, but you might have weeks where they play the full week or have a couple games and that sort of stuff. You at least got two guys to choose from and great options. In all reality, these guys can step in if things go wrong or the other guys don't do well. So that was something that was interesting. Like you should probably try to get those whatever you do, you should really try to get your backups in this year because it's always a pain in the ass to try to trade for a backup or try to dice for another goalie and stuff like that. So
goalies are number one. You got to make sure you got at least a steady points coming from your goaltending.
And basically the goalies, you have two goalies after the 6th or 7th round. It's kind of how I have this set up. Like you better have a goalie in the 6th or 7th round. It's kind of how.
Unless someone just does amazing or an injury happens to a starter and the backup goes nuts, you're probably gonna struggle a lot with certain points from your goaltending.
But like I said, the start of the year is very key. Like I have Kudobin ranked fairly high just simply because
he'll play a lot.
I think he'll play a decent amount off the
wherever
start,
he plays. Cough, Edmonton.
Exactly. He could also move around. One of these guys are going to get traded. I know everything's pointing in the direction of him playing and him being at least 50 games.
Absolutely.
Is kind of what I see out of him.
And he's always pretty healthy.
Why not? Yeah, exactly. And
he'll miss a couple weeks here and there, but
being on Dallas, you can't let this slip. Yeah, they can get shutouts. They can do this and that for you. So
absolutely.
So yeah,
let's dive right into this.
What you got for me, bud?
What I got for you? Well, what we're gonna first do is you wanted to go through the first page, correct? The 90-point guys, and just see where I kind of maybe I might poke some holes and where you got some. So first we got Connor McDavid. Unsurprisingly, he's unanimous number one. I don't think we need to talk about him. He's got 150 point potential, like we mentioned. I got nothing else on him unless you want to add why you put him number one, but pretty obvious.
It's just insane. Like I have him down as 50 points for power play, which
is ridiculous,
insane. But like it's probably going to be more like 40, like Draisaitl. But he's been averaging just stupid, like literally over 30 points a year.
He's in the midst of his prime. Play. Why wouldn't he score the most? And the team's better. Exactly. The team just got realistically. I know Oilers fans don't love some of the money given out. But your team is better.
Yeah.
If you don't look at the numbers, scary. Yeah, exactly. Like Hyman was an amazing addition That
Yeah, and if they can get him going on the power play, like I have him lower than I think Nuge or whatever
yeah,
there, but like
I
quite a bit lower, like 3 rounds lower than Nuge, and that's just simply because he's never shown the power play points and never really
which
got it. But
I
that
think he
doesn't mean it's not
will.
going to happen, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he's gonna be playing with McDavid all year. He's gonna know where to stand. Like it won't be hard to learn with McDavid.
like I
For
said
sure.
earlier, it's definitely difficult to understand and judge. Like, is Nuge just going to get kind of stuck with that second, third spot, and
Yeah,
Hyman will end up getting all these extra points just for being around McDavid, sort of thing. So
it's an
I may have
intriguing
it flipped
question.
around. Like, I'm not telling you not to take Hyman instead of Nuge, where I have
Yep.
Nuge, you know,
It's
and go the opposite way.
we'll get
I'm
to
very
some
okay
of
with
the
that.
we'll get to some interesting names later on that I'll have where we're gonna have we'll talk about it later a bit, but we're gonna
But
have
I was
a
just bringing
mode.
that up basically because of the whole 50 points on the power
Absolutely.
play, because
Yep.
this could help. Like, if Hyman's actually on the power play and doing amazing, like this power play could be better, like somehow,
Yep.
which is it
Which
already
would be
is.
crazy. Exactly. And might as well easily segue that amazing
Sure
power
is.
play into you got number 2, Leon Draisaitl. I completely understand why he's up there. He's got 40-point power play potential, which is crazy. He's a crazy goal scorer. Who you got
Goal
a
scorer
number
is why I had
goal
him.
scorer, absolutely. But the reason why I've got you have Nathan McKinnon third. I swapped those. It's a small change, nothing big deal. Just because I think McKinnon's got that McDavid level gear potentially, where he can
He's
just
got that
decide this team's on my back.
McDavid,
I'm gonna score. That's
like he's got that McDavid point getting
yes.
ability. Like he can get like I have 65 assists down. Like I can easily see that being 75. You
Absolutely.
know,
I can see
for
him
it's
scoring
not crazy
45, 50 if he shoots more than he passes.
Mhm.
Like he's got that
I'm fine
potential.
with that, 100%.
Which smallest nitpick, it's personal preference there. And it's
No
not a
doubt.
bad shout with Draisaitl either. We got fourth, which I wholeheartedly agree with at 4, Nikita Kucherov. He's someone you might be even able to argue over McKinnon and Draisaitl if he's having a year.
Like in all reality, no doubt. Like if you're picking 4, you're laughing because you're getting Cooch, and he's probably going to get the most points in the league because last time he was fully healthy, that's what he did.
He got 128 points. Same number of points his team got when they broke the record of most wins in a season. Or most points. So that he definitely could pop off. He is the best winger on planet Earth, I would say, without question.
Yeah,
right?
and I have him ranked at 4, and I have his point total very low compared to what he's probably gonna do. Like
and
I have him down at like 110
Yeah.
or something like that.
That's
Like, he's
just
probably
seeing
gonna
how
get
he
120.
comes back after being hungover for a second summer. If he has a slower start, that's the only reason I see him getting less points. But moving on, number 5, I can tell this one is definitely a player picked by his environment, product of his environment. We got Rantanen. Definitely not a bad shout. He's, like we mentioned with Nathan McKinnon, that's his winger. That's his winger is always with him when he's healthy for the most part. He's got 50 goal potential. Issue with him, health. So take that with a grain of salt at 5.
That would be the only scary thing. But like,
if you can somehow get McKinnon, Rantanen together, that's
I'm starting
money.
to not think too hard about injuries with some of these guys unless I'm real worried. Just because like where I have like Crosby ranked, like he's gonna miss, and like Malkin where they're ranked, like I have them, they're missing games and yet they're still getting into that sort of
70,
area where
80.
in all reality I can rank them much higher because they're right in there with 70-point players.
Because they should be in this top 16 if they were healthy.
Yeah, because they should.
Yeah,
exactly.
Everything can go wrong. For example, like McDavid's been hurt twice and missed games one season. He could just miss.
Sorry, they're just too useful in your lineup.
Yeah,
like, you might miss 10 games, but they're just too.
They will score 3 goals a night and get you 15 points just from having a good game. Some of these guys, they've got that potential, and with Colorado and Rantanen, they're a juggernaut team. Like they're so good at scoring.
Yeah,
goals.
that line's gonna be nuts.
Yeah. And then moving on, we got one of the best goal scorers in this league will be at number 6. I wonder if There's some name that I see later in the list that I think should be way higher, but we got David Pastrnak. Might as well punch it up with number 7, Brad Marchand. So we got the Boston guys going 6-7. They've been on a tearing points pace. I would maybe I get why you put Pastrnak ahead because he's a goal scorer.
So
over Marchand, that's
add up slightly more because
yes,
he scores more goals.
Exactly. They're both great picks. You can't go wrong with them. Yeah. I'm gonna spoil one later. You got Matthews at 11. I think if he successfully gets off this wrist injury without ease, I think he maybe should be that 6 role and slide everyone down 1. Just because he's not the goal scoring pace. It's not crazy at all.
He's one guy, like I have him at 50 and 30, which is like pretty modest in my eyes. Like
yes, 30 very seems weird. I think 50
like,
and I think 50 seems sure. Maybe like not and low, like, but maybe 55.
I'm happy and I'm safe and comfortable thinking he'll get 50, but
I think he will get 50.
Put him at 55 with Pastrnak there.
Yeah,
but it's just the fact that I called that Pastrnak was going to take the old trophy is why.
I get that for sure.
In all reality, you can definitely hook Matthews up, and I'm very okay with once it gets to like Pastrnak, go ahead and take any of these guys.
And that's it. It's so nitpicking at this point too. So
it's who you want.
Exactly. So. Pastrnak, Marchand, fantastic. You can't go wrong with them within your first round. They are old, reliable. One thing I will say about Pastrnak to not take with a grain of salt, but I would prefer Marchand on the side that Marchand is always healthy and always consistent. Oh. Pastrnak has small glimpses.
Pick, man. It's a ballsy pick for Pastrnak going at 6, like in all reality.
It is. He sometimes has missed games, and he's sometimes been in a week-long slump where it's not that big of a deal, but there's these guys that won't ever be in a slump. And if they are, it's for a period or two, and they might jump slightly ahead. But Pastrnak at his best deserves to be at 6. I will agree with you on that. His high is
he's going to not get hurt and just have a full season and everything will be smooth sailing. That's where he goes. But
I can see him potentially.
Like I said, get any of these other guys take him.
Yeah.
Instead,
yeah, for sure.
Matthews probably.
Yeah, I can see Pastrnak potentially being as good as Kucherov as the best winger in the league for sure. I just need him to be a little bit more consistent, and I mean more consistent in the side of
patch for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I by the way, when I say that, it's like this is the cream of the crop. Like this is the best players in the league. He just needs to be a tiny bit more to be like the best winger. That's how it shows how good he is. But moving on to number 8, past the Boston boys, we got Jonathan Huberdeau. I love Jonathan Huberdeau. I got nothing but great things to say about him.
Yeah, I'm so happy. He's epic.
He is so good. I think he's money for 100 points a season, 95 at least. And that's an average year. That's just and that's just an average year. One thing with Huberdeau, you're not going to get the elite goal scoring that you get from Pastrnak, Matthews, of course.
Yeah, that we know of right now. Hey,
yes, that we know of.
Never been that guy.
He's a 30 goal scorer type player, but I don't know if he's 40.
I didn't give him 40 for a reason. Is what I'm getting at, there's a reason I did not give him 40.
We don't know with him, but he is worth the gamble. If you want to take him high, he is power play money with Barkov. Which we're going to get to in literally a second here. But we'll move on to number 9. We got Artemi Panarin. This one, I argue, could be potentially higher with just how great this guy is. Another player in there who's up there like with best wingers in the league.
I guess what I could say is I have ranked Ranger players lower than people have.
Right. Because they're in a, like we had mentioned, if you listen to the podcast, I imagine if you're listening to this, you listen to the podcast. We did just talk about how they are in a hell division. They're going to have a lot of tough games, and they're still a very unexperienced team. It might not go smooth all year, which they need it to be very successful. And
another key to that is also, for me, is just going around the league is not going to be as simple as it
absolutely
would hope to be. I guess. Is what
Absolutely. But if I'm betting on one Ranger to be the most consistent player, it's Artemi Panarin without question. He's got potential to be a 40 goal scorer and like a 75, 80 assist guy. Like he really does have that potential if he goes completely off. He's the most important. I would argue to say he might be the most important winger to a team in the NHL. That Kucherov is super important to Tampa, but they do have Stamkos, Point. Like they do have great guys. I know Panarin has Zibanejad, but Panarin he can drive a line from the wing, which is extremely hard to do. So doubt. That's why I put Panarin so high as well. So can Kucherov. He's in that same mold. Marchand as well. Huberdeau.
And
but
just quickly with the Rangers, it's just I put them just a pedestal down because I think teams are gonna focus super hard on their power play and figuring out how to somewhat shut it down a little bit.
Absolutely.
Because they're just domination. So like you got to find a way to kind of harness that because that's like what they're. Like I said, if their power plays as good as they are and everybody does great, this on paper is a playoff team. They are better than these other teams. And if everything goes swell with Capo and Kravtsov and Laffy and all their young defense and just have great years, like this is a playoff team simply. But anyway.
And another note, you only gave him 30 power play points. He is potential up 40.
I think him
if their power
close to 40 last year. On pace for.
So like that's I definitely can see it. But Panarin, very safe pick. Will be healthy all year for the most part. I think he's only missed games if he's had the flu and missed a game. So that's impressive. Number 10, going back to Florida, we got Sasha Barkov. I love Sasha Barkov as a player, and if you're building a franchise, like your whole franchise, like Florida is around him, you're so happy. The smallest downside I'll give him in fantasy is he is a defensive-minded center, so he's going to get slightly less points than he can get, is what I will say. If he wanted to be an offensive dynamo and just not worry about defense, he could score with the best of them, I think.
I think he could be. I think he could be a 120, 130 guy. If
I think he could be if he wanted to, but the difference is his defensive game will take a big hit, which that's not his style. Defensively responsible that he's not going to score as much. However, he's on a contract year for one. 2, he is. Nice. I wouldn't say he's underrated in the league, but people still don't realize how good this guy actually is at times. And
actually how many points he is getting. Like, yes, I do feel comfortable. I'm serious. I feel comfortable with him getting this 100 points. I am not scared to say that. Really.
Absolutely.
Like, injuries obviously, but like, that's just how he goes.
There's just some guys that might score better. Yeah, he's dominant everywhere in the ice.
It's crazy because when you think about Bergeron, he never got the mad points when he was getting those awards. Like this guy's going to be getting the mad points while getting these awards.
Yeah.
Like this is
this guy could be better than Bergeron. Say it. Like he really could be. He could be this generation's like Patrice Bergeron for
you could almost say it right now just because
he's better. Like
it's like how young he is and how many years he has left. Like, what
if
are you
he's
gonna
healthy
for? Like, hey man, like you don't get like 2, 3, 4% as much face-off percentage as Bergeron. Like, well, Bergeron gets 60%. Like, nobody does that.
Nobody does that.
Give me a break.
No, Bergeron is the greatest face-off taker ever and will be ever. I don't think anyone will take him for a long, long time. But Barkov, he's like you just said, he's got that capability to score mad points and be great everywhere. Like I said, I'm not saying take him with a grain of salt at all, but if you're looking for pure points, you may not look to Barkov, but he's consistent. 80
I had to put him up here this year because in the past, Florida has been the Huberdeau line. Yeah, Barkov's been all alone, and Barkov is not alone this year. Like nobody's alone.
They're going to be
Everybody's
good team.
Got anybody they want beside them. If a
Absolutely.
guy goes down, you've got another guy. Like who's that? Vetrano and Duclair just
Yeah.
bring up and they'll just light it up. Like there's no slip in points if these guys are playing.
Yes, absolutely. With Reinhardt coming in, Sam Bennett, Carter Verhaeghe finding a nice home there. It looks like a very strong team. Moving on to the most depressing team in the league, the Leafs. We got Austin Matthews at 11 and Mitch Marner at 12. I've already kind of touched on Matthews. He's got 60 goal potential if he's healthy and firing. Last year, he had 40 goals in 49 games. That's Teemu Solani, like 70 goal numbers.
Yeah, hey, I know.
He's not going to get 70 because, unfortunately, that's just this league. It's so hard to even get 50. If he gets 60, like, I wouldn't be shocked, but I'll be like, wow. Because I don't even know if Ovechkin's got 60 in a year. I know he's gotten 50
He's never
twice.
had 60.
He's never had 60? Okay. I've never... I didn't know if he ever had.
From what I remember, I don't think. And if it is, it is only 1 year.
It is only 1 year. So, and I know he's been 50, I think, 2 or 3 times, Ovi. Matthews has been so close to 50, and if he hadn't missed time or this pandemic hadn't happened, he probably would have 50 twice.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Like I was saying earlier, like the stats really do point to Matthews doing much better than what I have here.
Absolutely. And then moving on to Marner. Marner's a top 5 point getter in the league. So if you're looking for pure points, you're going to love Mitch Marner. Marner's your guy. I've had him multiple years and he's been awesome. He will get over 100 points and 70 plus assists, guaranteed. Well, maybe not guaranteed 100 points, but 70 plus assists. I'm willing to guarantee that pretty much every year.
No doubt.
Pure points, you're loving it.
I feel a little bit low on him, but like, I don't know. I'm just not super high on the insane amount of points. Like, is Toronto really gonna? They've been doing that for a couple years now. Maybe they do want to just keep going nuts in the regular season, getting as many points as they can. Matthews trying to get 60, Marner trying to get 120 or something like that.
With these two playing with each other,
these teams got to bear down and fucking figure out how to win in the playoffs, and that's simply it. So, like, you guys shouldn't be thinking about points, and that's why I've thrown them down a wee bit. But I didn't throw them down enough for them on the same team, unless you're in a 10-team league or something like that. Like you just don't want those guys on the same team. That's not fantasy fun.
No, you're definitely having a problem.
Unless it's you.
If you can somehow get Matthews and Marner together, wow, congrats, you've won the league most likely. With one thing I will say with Matthews and Marner, they will be losing a slight bit of ice time compared to last year because they were ran so much last year. With David Kampf coming in, I'm reading they're very, very loving his game and expect him to be a big-time shutdown guy. So expect minutes to go down. So that's something to look at with the Matthews Marner of it at 11 and 12.
Having a good bottom six or an actual capable bottom six will help.
Will help them. It could potentially help them score more as well. They may not be on the ice as much, but if Kampf really does a good job shutting people down, I would watch Kampf a lot this year to base how Matthews and Marner will do. If Kampf's good, these guys could be flying.
Yeah, like it's gonna be weird. Like all these Leaf guys, you almost have to take at the exact same time, so nobody has a couple of them because
absolutely.
But it could go very
wrong.
Like names I'll bring up are like I know there's a lot of hype already about it, but I've been saying this from the start. Michael Bunting's the perfect type of player for this team. Like it's just how he plays. Like it's not like I'm telling you he's getting 60 points, but like it wouldn't be crazy.
He could get 20 goals, 20 assists.
Yeah, like 25 and 25.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here for
if he plays top 6 all year with this
either
team.
Matthews, Marner, or Tivas and Nylander.
Exactly.
Like
there's a lot of opportunity for some sneaky picks later in this team.
It just sucks that they all have the same value right now.
Yeah.
Other than like you could, they all have the same value because I trust Kerfoot more, but like he could be stuck playing third line, not getting them at as many points as maybe the guys that are playing on the wings. Or
he might be on the shutdown line, so on wing, which is
unless
crazy.
You want to really like say I feel so confident in like a Bunting playing with Matthews, and he's gonna be that guy for sure getting 50.
Yeah.
I guess go ahead and take him a little bit earlier. But like a lot of these random other Toronto forwards, you're just gonna have to suck it up and just wait and hope that you pick the right one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
it's gonna be a nice steal. I'm telling you, like one of these Toronto guys
One of
gonna
them.
be a nice light steal in a sense because
Yeah, as long as everyone isn't thinking that and then everyone decides, oh, I'm going to pick Bunting. And
Yeah,
Richie
and
and Kasha, I'm going to take them high.
yeah,
So be cautious
where
of taking them high.
like they should not probably be in this rankings. Like how I
No.
don't have them in these rankings. Like they should not be in these.
They
rankings.
should be your last
170.
your
Like,
last
we're talking
two
200 or
picks of the draft. Your last
250s
two
and
picks of the draft should be that type of risk. Maybe 3 if you're comfortable with your team. If you're really comfortable with your starting lineup that they're not going to be injured at all and you can take a couple gambles, then I would say the last 3 picks is 2 picks is where you want them. But let's move on to the other blue team that's actually successful, the Tampa Bay Lightning, which you got 2 players here. Number 13, Steven Stamkos, which that's an interesting one for me because this is a very high risk, high reward player.
Yeah, I don't know why I feel so comfortable with him getting 45 and 45.
If he's healthy, I'm comfortable with that. I think he definitely can do that. That power play is banging. I think your power play points might even be a little low.
I think that's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
Him and Kucherov on the power play, and he's got his own spot. My issue is health has not been his friend consistently. And I know you shouldn't always look at health, but when it's always been the case, you're gonna be risking it with Stamkos if you pick him.
Yeah, for
he could be out half the year or more. It's happened many times.
I guess like that is why I'm like what I'm getting at when I say 13 here is because I feel like this has got to give. I think this is a year that he can finally have a full year.
I agree.
I think that's you want to benefit from that. So what I hope he does. If he drops to like 20 and stuff like that, like you eat him alive.
Yes, absolutely. Like that, that's a risk you're willing to take.
A little bit just because people are a little unsure. And Seabass, Scheifele, DeBrincat, Kazakov, Gensel,
he should go.
Landeskog. Some of these guys start going ahead of him or something, or even like Crosby ahead of him and stuff. Like, boys, you gotta.
I don't know. I don't think Crosby's not that risky to take over him. I think personally, I'd put him in this first round list. But I'm also I'm a little biased because I've always had trust in my captain, and I don't see why I shouldn't. But no, Stamkos, if he's healthy, he definitely has that 45 goal potential.
And the other reason is the Olympics.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up as well. These next 2 guys, I got Braden Point next as well, bringing up. They're big chances to make this Olympic team. And if they need to perform to make it, especially Stamkos, needs to be healthy to make the team, I think. But no.
So you take him high because he's gonna light it up the first half, sort of thing.
Yeah, I was thinking. Absolutely.
Like, this is guaranteed getting some money shit going on. So
just beware. He misses games, and don't be surprised if all of a sudden he's leading your team and then next game he's not on your team because he's injured. Like, I really wouldn't be that surprised. Unfortunately, because Stamkos is one of the most gifted NHL players out there right now.
Yeah, because that has been the consensus, and I feel like since all this, like people saying how he just seems a little bit different now that he's got these cups off his chest and stuff. I think this may be a more relaxed Stamkos, and we may see. I think this is maybe just better, like regular season wise for the rest of his career, because it's just been such a you never know if he's going to play. And you don't take him here. You never take him here. Why would you take him here?
Yeah,
over the past several years, So,
but it's also something to note with these Tampa Bay guys. They lost their shutdown line. These guys, Point is going to need to take, which I'm going to go on to next here. He's going to take a big responsibility and probably take in a lot of those big matchups. And he's been very good against them in the playoffs and everything. Point is an amazing player. And I think he will for sure get over 30 goals and probably will get over at least 45 points or assists, But so I think he's money for it and he's pretty safe, but his point totals might take a small dip in the team has declined because they lost a whole line. It's really hard to replace an entire important line.
Yeah, like the way I see that line disappearing is I'm actually giving these points more to the top line, like Stamkos and Point and those guys. I think they'll step up a little bit more and that sort of stuff.
They
and
definitely
you just won't
could
get as much offense out of your bottom lines, but your 2, 3, and 4 lines will not let in goals. Kind of their entourage this time.
I guess we'll see with which way it goes, right? It's gonna go one which way. It's either gonna go up or it's probably gonna go down. I don't worry about the responsibility Point's gonna take on at all. Like zero worry with it, but I do think he could hinder it, and I'm saying by a measly like 5 goals, which 5 goals is 15 points, maybe. Right? It's just small points here and there. Would you rather moving on to the next guy, Patrick Kane, who is always money for like 100 and some points over a Point who has more responsibility? It's your call, right? Personal preference on how you lean with this Tampa Bay team changing.
Yeah, like with Kane in the new team, like it's hard to even have him this low. Like his technical projections are higher than the guys we just talked about, Matthews, Marner, Stamkos, and Point. But
he's Point, like fantasy points wise, he's up in around the 8 spot. He's fighting in that 8 spot, Patrick Kane, to put into perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And DeBrincat's been just unreal. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just assuming they're gonna suck a little bit of points. The guy's getting a little old. I don't know. I'm not expecting him to get 130, but like I do have him down to for surely get 100. So like that's still like 20 points over a point per game, which is still quite insane when you think about it. So
yes, it very much is.
Especially for a guy who's like 36, 35. So I don't know. I put him down, but don't like I said, even with Stammer, like these guys might drop a little bit, and that's just good for you, you know.
Yep, for sure. Let's move on with, well, I guess you nailed it with Patrick Kane. He's got that potential. If I don't see a reason why you don't trust him in a year that Chicago just got way better.
Exactly.
He's never been bad when Chicago was bad. That says a lot about Patrick Kane. I will be brutally honest. Back when Chicago started going downhill, I thought they would be screwed and Patrick Kane would be terrible. I really did. I thought he would fall with the team. I was not confident in him. I really didn't like how he carried himself when he was a bit younger. I didn't care for it at the time. Just at the time, he didn't give a great vibe. It's also probably because he's American and he probably broke my heart a couple times. But he is fantastic. He is aged like fine wine perfectly. He is.
Yeah, he's gotten like better.
He's better
when they got shittier and things started on going as well.
The fact that he was the most talented like skill guy in the league when he was younger and still is when Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon are in the league with him is unbelievable, and it attests to how good he actually is. So I think you would be comfortable picking this guy anywhere after 4 or 5.
Brandon, right?
Probably Kucherov, honestly. Maybe Rantanen, you can argue with him, is what I'll say. But you can also see him slide. If you see him slide at what I will say, slide down at I'd say 5 to 10, you should pick him fast. If you can. Unless there's someone else you just love to pick. That you just trust. But
at Kane at 15 is more of like the changing of the guard and just him getting a little bit older.
Yeah, like having a lesser year.
I'm not 100% sure. Not really even a lesser year. It's just like, how could you like, what that was insane.
Yeah, absolutely. What he does is ridiculous.
Like, getting 130 points that year was the craziest thing I've ever witnessed. Like that, especially that year in the situation that it was like he like made Dylan Strome so good that year for some reason.
Like so good.
Yeah. So, but anyways, finish off the old top 16 of my board here.
We got
I've got the first E-man getting picked, hey, which is
yeah.
Cale Makar.
Yeah,
really the bigger question is, when do you start taking defensemen after this?
and
But
that's
anyways.
that's the question I'm just about to ask. I am okay. Before I say what I'm about to say, I am the biggest Cale Makar fan probably on this podcast. Frankly, I think like I talk greatness up this guy. I blow smoke
I like him
up.
More.
Oh, I don't know, dude. I fucking blow smoke up his ass all the time. We bring him up. Like when you were bringing up Colorado's defense, I'm like, yeah, but Cale Makar. No. I have a big fear, and this goes with whoever you are, in picking defensemen in the first 2 rounds of a draft in fantasy. And that's coming from a guy who picks a lot of great defensemen in all of his fantasy drafts. That is because of the lack of goals they score compared to forwards. And that's a lot of points.
Yes.
Cale Makar, though, is...
But with
defensemen,
you have to bite the bullet.
Yes.
I know, like as it says, I don't know why I have it saying 228, but whatever. He's clearly like 50 points less than Kane, 30 some points less than like Stammer and Point and stuff like that. But like you gotta bite the bullet.
Yes.
Like your defensemen do not get that many points. You have 4 to fill.
Absolutely.
And you want at least 2 defensemen out of these 4 to be guys that'll definitely be impactful.
It is the question.
It's kind of cheating this year to have Makar because nobody's getting close to 90 points other than him.
Exactly. And that's the question of, are you comfortable picking 2 defensemen later on who are less than Makar, but maybe equal up enough? So if you're willing to wait until round 4 and 5, let's say, or 3 and 4, to take a Quinn Hughes, Roman Yossi, a Dougie Hamilton, who is fantasy, like a fantasy darling.
Yeah, and we're only talking like 40 points, 50 points less is what you're getting.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Horrible.
No.
Especially if you have like a back-to-back pick and you want to take 2 at a time or something crazy like that. Just to get it out of the way. And then you never have to think about defensemen again, sort of thing.
Absolutely. Like, so it really depends on your place in the draft, honestly, where you pick Makar to be strategic is where I think, and who you pick before him is going to be a big factor. If you have any of the top 3 and you want to pick them second round and there's guys that you're very comfortable leaving, for example, if you got McDavid, I don't see why if Makar is there when you're going next, you pick him. If you get any of these top 4 guys and Makar is available, I feel like you pick him. Is what I will say. Maybe even if you get Matthews, or Panarin.
The team that ended up was Matthews in the 13.
Yeah, see that
it was Matthews Makar.
So. And that makes sense. If you're getting an elite, like guaranteed guy and a goal scorer forward, like. Then I think you're very comfortable taking Makar. Absolutely,
that gets you like maybe 20 points. Like, it's so crazy.
Yeah,
like, I wish these defensemen could find a way to get 30 goals. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but I wonder if someone can do it this year. I'm really looking at Makar and seeing if he's healthy, would he do it? If he just goes off and Colorado does, I don't see why not.
Yeah, who are my other, like, Yossi?
Yossi could.
Amazing, everybody. Okay?
Yeah, he is.
He is amazing. Like,
he is the best.
Not only is he a beast, but, like, that's what I'm saying is he's a beast. 82 games. Yeah. I will get you 80 points. Like, that is what...
On a bad scoring team. On a bad scoring team.
That's what it is right now. So, like, take advantage of it while it's there.
Yeah.
Same with Barry. Like, while this is on fire, just you run this guy, drain this guy dry of points. Like, take him high. Bite the bullet because you're not getting so many points.
Yep.
Quinn Hughes and stuff like that. Like these guys are going to get so many points when it comes to it. But no, I do like Makar there. I like in
Yeah,
that position ahead. I
absolutely.
have him ahead of Ovi, which is
Crazy
something
to
I
think about,
have
but
trouble kind of deciding. But I like a lot of this is like you can take a guy in a very different range,
yes.
like you know.
This is where the board starts to get fumbled around with tons of different factors. Maybe people not being able to be there for the draft, if that's a case for you guys, and they get auto picks with whoever's next for one.
Oh yeah.
Two, there's a lot of fans that will play their fan card at pick 2 or 3 just to pick one of their favorite players on their team and pick them early. That happens a lot. We've seen in the draft.
Yeah, throughout the whole draft, exactly. There's a lot of guys
that use their fan card a lot.
Higher.
Yeah. So this is where it gets jumbled up, and you can probably pick them within 10. It depends on what type of people you got in your draft, really, and what you prefer. Going on to this next page. So, are you ready to move on from a car to your second page here?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So now we're in the 80-point range. This is the guys who are just below those superstar league guys, obviously, like what would you say, half a step behind, not much, or injury reasons or position reasons, is what we'll say.
Just two-way players. And
two-way guys who are very 40, 40, 30, 30, 30. Yeah, exactly, guys. So first, like you mentioned, we got a couple of Washington guys. We got Ovechkin and Carlson, 17, 18. Ovi, he's going to have a great year. There's without question. He's going for Gretzky's record. Don't have to say much about Ovi. He might be able to be higher. Carlson, second defenseman. I do want you to explain that one real quick, why you put Carlson right by 2 spots after Makar when praising Makar so much.
I'm not really too sure. I think it's just simply because of the power play points.
Yeah, absolutely.
The defensive factor, like, definitely you can drop him. I would say it's a little high. I just feel like he can blow up and have an even better year. He's been a guy that just,
for sure,
it's fantasy may not look great, the team may not look great, but he's still getting like a point per game. Yes. And that's hard to find for a defenseman. So like when it gets to the next defenseman, how confident I am in getting 70 points is a lot different to Carlson getting an 80-point season. But no, I fully agree. The next picks are goalies, and I can see you taking these goalies ahead of them.
Yeah, we got Vasilevsky, Hellebuck, and Leonard in those goalie range. Those are the top goalies without question. Yeah. No surprise. Exactly. This is the part where you're picking those secondary first liners, potentially, like the other superstars playing with the big dog guys, or the goalies, your top D-men. This is the type of range we're looking at.
Yeah, or the big dog on those other teams that
aren't as good.
A crazy guy like Seabass is the next pick after Vasi, Hellebuck, and Leonard there. Just simply because obviously these guys are like, this team could go to the moon here. Seabass, I don't know if we've seen everything out of this guy yet. So I took him ahead of a lot of these forwards. There's it's a nice crop of forwards before the next group of goaltenders that go here. So like literally do whatever you want there. Like
Seabass being Aho, by the way, for the fans, not knowing his nickname, Aho. I just want to clarify that for them.
No doubt. Yeah, no, this is just preference for like this is how I feel safe with these guys being ahead, sort of thing.
Absolutely. Do you want to rifle off the couple names that you got just in that fold, or do you want me to just...
Yeah, for sure. I'll rip it out. So
just in that 40 goal, 40 assist range, guys, like 80 points still. So this is the guys.
Yeah. So 22 to 32, I got Sebastian Aho, Scheifele, DeBrincat, Kaprizov, Gensel, Elias Pettersson, Landeskog, Mark Stone, Anze Kopitar, Zibanejad, and then finally with Crosby before I get into my next group of goaltenders.
Which, by the way, to end off on Crosby, That's insulting.
Insulting.
I have to say it. He will be picked higher than 32, and if he's not, if you haven't picked him, I'm surprised. I'm just shocked. Someone's gonna pick him probably before 20, I would imagine. Just based on reputation. I get he's missing some games. I think he might come back early. Potentially, he's that type of player. He always wants to be back earlier than maybe necessarily should be, which has cost him sometimes. But this is a team that needs him desperately to come back, especially now that we found out Gensel has COVID, or his protocol at least. So take that, like they're really gonna need him back, so he'll probably be higher. But the other guys, like, very much 30 goal potential and 50 assists or 40 and 40. A lot of these guys will be very good and will consistently get you points.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, you can throw Crosby at the top of this list, and I don't care whatsoever. That's just a nice group of guys. You want one of these guys on your team is kind of how it is.
Yeah.
And if you miss out and have to take a goalie, like, well, what is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Like, yeah, there's like almost 12 guys there. So like you're almost guaranteed to get one of these guys, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And then
just put Crosby down on that peg, just simply because I'm not too sure how long it will be. I don't like them trying to rush him back, sort of thing. And I think 80 points in 70 games is pretty damn good for the old man.
Oh, absolutely. That would be fantastic. One thing to note, never been below a point per game in his entire career. Only 2 players have done that. 2 players, don't know if you've heard of. Well, 16 plus years, I say. Wayne Gretzky and Sidney Crosby. So a note to add, if he's playing 76 games, very good chance he's getting 80 points.
Career average on the power play is like 32 points every year.
Which is ridiculous. He's 34, 35. Like, that's so impressive.
Yeah, so that was 22 to 32. So we get into 33 to 39, which is my group of 7 goalies here. I have Demko first, basically just because of I like all the situations. If you're looking at the board, you see 60, which means I like them playing lots, obviously. Yeah. Shots, they're going to get shots against them because their defense isn't amazing, and they've kind of historically never been a team that gets a little amount of shots against. I have them in the playoffs, so wins are up, and I like this guy being able to have those great shutout games and be a little bit higher in the shutouts.
I wonder
if you're getting every stat you can possibly get out of goaltending that you need for fantasy sort of thing. So
I wonder with Demko, absolutely. I wonder with Demko if down the road he can, by down the road I mean by next fantasy, he can be in the fold with Vasily, Hellebuck, and Leonard. He is that good. He is such a talented goalie. He makes the most saves above expected than any other goalie in the league by, I'm pretty sure, a fair number. Yeah. So that's something to know. If Vancouver gets better, he's gonna look even better than he is.
Exactly. Like, that's kind of why I've got him first. He's the 4th goalie coming off the board, which is kind of crazy in a sense, but that's exactly why
deserved.
I'm taking him, because of what you said. Like, simply, we could be looking at this next year and he could be in a different caliber of goaltending. Yeah, and that's why you got to take risks. It's as simple as that. You got to look at the things that are that at least point in the right direction. It is kind of a risk to say that Demko is going to do this, but it's not crazy, and it seems like he's on the path to do it. So with the team as well, it's not
absolutely.
He's just gonna, not like Merce Lincoln's. He's not just gonna have a good year because Merce Lincoln's is just gonna have a good year.
Yeah.
Like, this he's got all the arrows going the right way.
For sure.
Anyways, that's 1 of 7 goalies. Like I've said, pick these guys whichever way you feel comfortable. Andy's who I got next, which is Freddie Anderson from Carolina. Basically, love the wins. Obviously, I got him first in the division. I think shutouts are a very big possibility with how shut down and how stable that team is in general. May not get the ridiculous amount of shots, which would be the only hamper, but I do see him for surely. Like, if there's somebody that I like him getting close to 60 games.
Yeah.
I don't see Ranta stealing very many games. In all reality, not too worried about the injury possibilities. Next goalie is Allmark from Boston. So
Yep.
3 kind of wildish picks here. Kind of the same sort of stuff, exactly like Anderson. Same sort of thing. You're not going to get a lot of shots against, but like you've got a good team, you've got a good defense in front of you. I believe shutouts are a good possibility. You can stay in that upper portion there, and obviously, I don't see Swayman stealing too many starts. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think he'll just do good when he starts, which is perfectly fine with me.
For sure.
Next I got Darcy Kemper from Colorado there.
Pretty safe to say he's just on a good team, hey?
Yeah, exactly.
Number 1 goalie on a great team.
Yeah, the only reason he's the 7th goalie that I have going off the board is injury confusion and possibilities and stuff like that. But when this guy's playing,
he will be lights out.
Even before in this cast, like it's as simple as sometimes you just got to take these guys because when they play, they're dynamite. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they might miss some time, but you can deal with it. You got to take.
It's also different with goalies.
You got to take Frank Hughes, man. That's just how it is. Sometimes this might be a year where you're gonna be like, yeah, screw it, and take a backup goalie in the 10th, like 10th and later, like too early is what I'm saying. You might just do it just because like
shore up your goaltending.
Just screw it.
Goalies are so important in fantasy. And that's why we got the next guys with Jari, Binnington, and Grubauer, who are either questionable at times or not on the great uncertainty of teams, I guess we can say. But they are so important to get points because they're the starting goalie on that bubble team with St. Louis and Pittsburgh. They're very much in the playoff race and will be, and that's their starting goalies. And then Grubauer being on a new franchise, he was a Vezina finalist last year. However, it just might dip a little bit being on a new team, new system, not being on the Colorado freaking Avalanche, which is why Kemper is so high.
Definitely a little sketchy with the Grubauer. That's why he's at the bottom of this list for sure, because
high risk, high reward.
This just like they can easily turn to somebody else. Like they can turn to Drieger there.
Yeah, Drieger is just as good
this year.
You'll want both of them if you can get Grubauer at decent number, which probably around the 40s would be amazing. If you can also get Drieger, then you're very happy because no matter what, you got Seattle's goalie, and I think they're going to be pretty decent. At least middle of the table, and we'll get you. Yeah, they will be right in their hunt, I think. So
yeah, like I have them in the playoffs, so that's why I put them in this group. If I thought they were not going to make the playoffs and maybe drop a little bit, I might have put him in the next group and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's basically my top 10 of goalies there, which is Hellebuck, Leonard. Or sorry, Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
Vasilevsky, Hellebuck, Leonard, Demko, Anderson, Allmark, Kemper, Jari, Binnington, and Grubauer. And that's the top 39. Getting into the 40 spot, which I have somebody who bit a lot of people last year, I guess, in Andrei Svechnikov.
Yeah.
As everybody thought the roof was going to blow off.
I.e. me.
Yeah, so I got him at 40. Where is that, like the 3rd, 4th round here. So,
most of these guys in this range, they're definitely in that.
Yeah, they dropped to this little group right here that I have from 40 to 46 is 70-point guys, and there's a couple defensemen in there that we brought up, and Yossi, Barry, and Hughes, all getting at least 15 goals, which is kind of a good reason why. And the power play points, 25 and 30 at least for a lot of these guys. I have Connor in there at 35, and I can see more than 20 power play points.
Yes, absolutely.
But it's just that team spreads out the power play quite a bit.
Very much so.
25 and that sort of hope. This is where I was talking about with Hyman and Nuge. Like, do you take Nuge here or do you take Hyman here? Like, I think that's a viable question, and I'm okay with you doing either of them. I'm just trusting.
And I wonder if both go high, and one person gets lucky and the other gets screwed. in that scenario. So that's one thing we'll say about the Nuge. This is a very high risk, high reward. This is probably the highest risk, high reward player in the top 50, without question in my mind.
I would say,
he is definitely a guy who can get that 70 points, but he's been a 60 point guy mainly in his career. And be prepared for him to maybe be a third line center, because they need a third line center. Being that reason, right? They got winger. They got some winger depth now. If Fogle, Puljujarvi, and Yamamoto play well on the wings, and Hyman, obviously, he will be in the top 6 without question. If they all play good in top 6, why don't you drop Nuge down as a third line? So that's a very... It depends on Hyman and
so in all reality, when it comes to Nuge and Hyman, you should probably drop them out of the top 50. Wait for this Nylander, Goudreau, Bozer area to fully Bergeron. Maybe wait for that area to start taking those guys just in case, because guys like Hall could do way better than this sort of stuff.
Playing
Goudreau
in Boston
could do way better. Like, these guys are... or Goudreau's a top guy on his team, sort of thing. Like,
exactly.
you want that.
And he's got 100-point potential, Goudreau.
Even Tavares and Nylander.
Exactly. They got 80, 90. They might get 80, 90 potentially on a great year. Getting right onto this list too, you got a couple goalies, a lot of younger goalies who potentially could have some breakout years. I see we got some Carter Hart, Shesterkin, Cal Peterson, and Elvis Merzlikins. All great goalies. I think you can understand why they're in the bubble teams, and just waiting to be the number one type of goalies in the league is what we are.
Yeah, these guys are just gonna get peppered. Other than Hart, basically, that's what you need. That's what's nice. Look at
lots and lots of shots.
Columbus, holy defensive defense.
Yep.
LA, holy defensive defense, kind of.
Shesterkin, holy offensive offense.
And then just Sturkin with the Rangers, they have young defense too there. So Hart, that's better. He's not going to get as many saves and as many wins.
Spotlight's still on him, and he needs to perform for this team to be good. There will be a lot of big changes in Philly, I think, if Hart doesn't perform well. I.e., I think they would probably bring in a good goalie to tandem with him if he doesn't perform this way. Moving down the list a little more, we got a couple defensemen here. These are your consistent defensemen I was talking about earlier, who will get you good points, and a lot of them are fantasy. There's a couple here that are fantasy darlings that people love. That'll bring up. I'm gonna bring up all the defensemen from 53 down to 65 here quickly. So we got, and then we'll nitpick throughout that. So we got Victor Hedman, obviously. Don't need to say anything about him. Dougie Hamilton, always been a fantasy darling.
Goals.
Goals, exactly, and power play goals. Shea Theodore, waiting for him to pop off. Klingberg and Adam Fox, elite offensive puck-moving defensemen. Drew Doughty, Olympic year. We got Charlie McAvoy down at 62. We're waiting for him to have a pop-off Norris-level season. Darnell Nurse and Morgan Riley, also Canadian Olympic team, and... biggest thing with Riley, I would take the gamble on him personally. I shouldn't be telling Chase this, but I would definitely take the gamble on him being a contract year, and he's gonna get paid $9 million somewhere if he plays up to his 70+ point per game, which he can do. So keep an eye on Morgan Riley as well. Say on those defensemen down to 65.
All these defensemen you just listed are guys I have at a floor of 60 points, so I feel very comfortable with them getting 60 points.
Absolutely.
The only one I wouldn't say would be McAvoy or something like that.
Because he's such a strong defensive game.
Yeah, and they have the Grizzly factor. If Grizzly takes over the power play or plays more power play and stuff like that, can really suck away from McAvoy. So I have him up here because I do believe McAvoy should be on that top power play. The way I see it, McAvoy, I do believe they need to get Hall. If Hall wants to be there and these guys want to be there, then I think you find a way to get Hall, McAvoy, Bergeron,
and then top line, the perfection line,
and your perfection line and those guys
and
together.
Then Hall and McAvoy, and then you go with the Grizzly, Coyle, Craig Smith, DeBrusque. type
And those
line.
guys are getting older enough to like handle a second
Yeah,
line power play. I think
absolutely.
so. I
You
think
need to give
that's
some
how
of those
they.
guys a chance. I'm
And I
i.e.
think
being
that chance
DeBrusque.
will happen this year. And if it does, I don't see them going back if it clicks like at all.
Yeah,
Sort of thing.
absolutely.
So I feel like this is a better year to think McAvoy is gonna do
For
good,
sure.
but don't jump.
Absolutely, I think he could. I wish you had told me that last year. All these guys you're naming, I was a year too early on, it seems like, and that's always been the story of my fantasy. I'm always a year too early of thinking when they'll pop off.
It happens a lot, man.
Happens all the time,
thing.
absolutely. Next here, we got in the early 60s type range, we got some forwards that are going to be very consistent, and a couple guys that are also, I'm going to use this word a lot, analytical darlings. Very underrated, but great fantasy numbers.
Yeah.
We got John Tavares, David Perron, prime example, always gets really good fantasy ratings.
Yeah, dude, the guy was on pace for 84 points last year.
Yeah, exactly. So, he is stellar.
To take him above these defensemen and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
he will get 50, 60 points without question if he's healthy.
Yeah, the four forwards on the, I guess I'm not too high on Nylander doing it. And Tavares, I kind of feel like they're not going to super surpass the 70 points. But
and it's funny you say
that I really like to for surely almost blow past my 70 point mark.
JT Miller.
No,
one thing I will argue with you, I have Nylander higher. I would have Nylander higher. Again, I might be a year early with it. What he did in the playoffs last year really impressed me, in the sense of he's the only one that showed up, offensively, that is. I know Morgan Riley had a good series and all that. I really think this could be a Nylander year where he goes a point per game and just dominates, because he won't have to play the best lines, because it's either going to be Kampf playing the best lines or Matthews playing the best line. So he's sheltered.
In a sense, I am kind of saying that here, because he has not had a true 70-point season, because we haven't played fully 82 games the last couple of years. But he was almost on pace for it. So I think he was on pace for just under 70. So I'm giving you the okay Nylander that I do believe you will get 70.
Yeah.
So I think I'm there with you in a sense.
You're there.
When you say that.
I'm just saying this is a potential pop-off player to keep an eye out. If I'm going to highlight one of these guys who has the potential to overdo what we have him ranked, it is Nylander. He's at that
to the max overdue.
Have a career
your point per game, and JT can get your point per game. But Nylander could somehow find a way to get 90 this year,
and that's
just on a good, awesome offensive year.
And that is exactly why I see Tavares is near his back nine. But I think he's got a lot of game left, Tavares.
I think he's got another good year.
I think he's got another good year, maybe two. And I think Nylander could very much benefit with it. And he's now had a season to play with Tavares. That says a lot, too. Chemistry will be big. And, like you said, depends who their winger is. Like we mentioned earlier. If they have a winger who clicks... Like, what if, Richie goes there and just gets every puck in front of the net for them just to tap home?
Yeah.
A very big possibility.
Stands in front, no doubt.
So,
hey.
But
that's... after this, basically is when I started kind of going into the whole where
it goes anywhere
per team sort of thing, because it starts to get dicey after this to where do you actually rank guys and how do you want to rank guys. So I went very into the whole what does the team need? Do you want to duo a couple guys together and stuff like that? So that's kind of why you actually see things separating a little bit more. I've got starting off 66 is Goudreau, and next is Markstrom, and Saros and Fleury. I'm still kind of keeping a group of goalies together, and then I get back into 3 forwards.
Yeah, people tend to panic pick goalies. To piggyback on the goalies being in groups a lot. Excuse me. I think a lot of people like to panic pick goalies when they notice 2 or 3 are if 2 are picked within 3 picks, a lot of people start to worry and go, I need to pick a goalie now before they're all gone. And then all of a sudden after 10 picks, a lot of like 8 goalies are picked. So that happens at times. And it's something to look out for.
So
like you said,
right
though,
on the right side of this one, I have out of the 49 to 81, like the two guys that stand out to me are Malkin and Sagan in my eyes. Like, who do you got for? Like, are you circling somebody
absolutely.
Special on this right side?
You took the words out of my mouth. It is Malkin and Sagan. Sagan in particular, I have Nylander as well. On defense, though, if I'm picking one of these guys that might have a surprising year, I like Morgan Rielly. I know I'm giving a lot of love to Leafs here, but they've always been good in the regular season and always score a lot of points. And Morgan Rielly, I have more faith in than Nylander because it's a contract year like that, and he's trying to make the Olympic team. Like, that's a lot that he's working towards and needs to have a good year. So I think I really like him. Tyler Sagan is like you said, big. I also look at Taylor Hall, and you mentioned that power play in Boston, and I wonder if he can go back to maybe not Hart Trophy Taylor Hall, but a step below that would be unreal. If he can get 80 points, you're laughing being Boston, hey? At $6 million, and
I had
Boston bring the best out of their players always.
Yeah, exactly,
always.
Hey.
Right? That's why
have you seen DeBrusque in the preseason here? He's been looking like a player again. Like,
exactly.
Maybe he'll find himself again.
I wonder if he has a better year too as a sneaky pick for later. But I think Taylor Hall, put in the right situation, is gonna have a great year. Could have a great year.
I'm getting like 30 goals, and I had a tough time doing that. Like, I really did. I did not want to give him 30 goals because you got to understand there's only so many people that get 30 goals in the league. Like, you can't rank so many people at 30 goals and stuff like that.
For sure. The guys, like,
he's going to have to put the puck in the net.
Absolutely.
Like, you're going to have to. You're not going to be able to get away with a 20-60 sort of year or something like that. Or, I think you're going to have to pot some pucks in the net. So,
and there's a lot of guys here who are injury issue. Like, there's some injury problems here and there, and they won't play all 82. Keep in mind, these 80 guys that we got, I guarantee 10 of them will miss pretty big time. I wouldn't be surprised if 10 of them miss big time this year. And that's just the way the world works, or the way sports works.
Yeah, in the top 50, you always got somebody that's
you got a lot of big guys.
There's always guys that'll fall apart. It's crazy that, like, you're picking the best player in Sagan on his team at 80 and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess you picked Klingberg earlier, but like,
there's a name here that I read that I want to be worried about because of health, and that's Brock Besser, and that's why I brought up the whole health thing. He has not ever been healthy for a full year, and he's hurt again right now. Except last year, but he was pretty piss poor last year. And he's hurt. Actually. He's hurt again, though, right now. So I'm not confident in his health, and I don't pick him being that's a big concern for me. Now, he drops down to the 80s, in like mid 80s. Yeah, you take that risk. But I do have worries about that. Tyler Toffoli, also being, I don't know if he's got 40 goal potential there, reading it.
I know, hey.
Because that Montreal team terrifies the shit out of me for goals, and they're in a they're not in a bad division anymore.
If you think he's playing with Suzuki all year, I think you can half-ass feel comfortable. And obviously on the first
30 goals, yes.
And I think he can get to 40, but it's it's
but
a
then
real big
everything
stretch.
needs to go right for Montreal. So Toffoli to me is, do you believe in Montreal this year? If you do, pick Toffoli. If you don't, I wouldn't trust picking him this early.
Yeah, but those two
just
guys
this
are
early though.
Nice to point out, as in Bozer and Toffoli. The only reason they're up there is basically getting goals.
Yeah, high end
extra goals, the power play position that they're in, and stuff like that. So, like, yeah, exactly. Like, I almost feel comfortable with the Patches, who has almost gotten a point per game sort of guy. Even a Ryan Strome, that's way later. Just because he plays most likely with Panarin, like those guys, like, and on the power play, getting just way too many points sort of stuff. Like we brought up with Malkin and Sagan, like screw it, take those guys.
Yeah.
Or whatever, like
exactly.
sort of thing, because you're getting the same sort of injury concern with Bozer and Sagan. At least you're getting the number one centerman on the team, and his ceiling is much higher than Bozer's is. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like I've said before, just take it for what you want. It's more of like a guideline of like
this is just high-end potential.
The cool thing is to see the 13-team draft board and like actually see like where these guys are ending up and how teams look, so you can understand.
Yeah, you guys will have to take a big look on that.
Because that's one thing that I've never really seen too much is like, I can do drafts all the time, like as much as I want, and like see how that ends up and see how my team ends up. But like I've never really seen this sort of stuff where it's
how
like,
everyone.
This is how like this is the first 13 rounds of how this actually would shake down in my eyes. Because like I said, you do your rankings off the bat. I did like a top 50, 60, 70-ish, and then you just kind of start figuring out who would go where and how you would pick that, and kind of take different angles for different teams. And at least you can see that. And this is like your top 8 forwards, your top 3D, your couple goalies and stuff like that. So this is your team. Like you actually get to see like what teams can look like and how you want to fumble around with it and stuff like that. So
and like we had mentioned earlier, there's going to be a lot of cases you'll find, like we said with the guideline, players are going to drop by just forgetting, like people forgetting that like they may be ranked low on the fantasy site, but they should be picked higher. They're going to slip. People are going to favoritize certain players and teams at certain picks here and there, because everyone does. Everyone picks at least a player or two from their favorite team typically, unless you're Buffalo, a Buffalo fan.
If you look at like what you call some of the fantasy rankings and stuff like that, defensemen just go like hotcakes on some of these things. You know,
like it takes a while for a defenseman to get on the board, but once they do, they kind of fly off pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
I know I used to always pick one goalie, 2 forwards, and 3D right away to make sure I had good D. And sometimes I'd pick 2 goalies when they were going faster in drafts. It depends on what's the necessity in the draft, really. Is it forwards, goalies, or defensemen? Depends how your point system's laid out, personal preference, past experiences, whether you've had great goalies but no offense, vice versa. What shakes out to be the best, you're going to figure this stuff out.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
A lot of these guys are within the same point tile range where you can put them in the exact same category. One player might do better for their team, like a Sean Couturier I have here later, but he's probably going to get as many points as someone who isn't as effective, that being Ryan Strome, like, right? Or Nick Suzuki, I shouldn't say Nikolai Ehlers. He's pretty important to that team. But you know what I mean. A Thomas Hertl that you have there, a Fiala. Some guys like Couturier is super important to his team, but you got to take it with a grain of salt in fantasy when points are king. So, do you want to keep going on the list really quickly and just point out a couple names as we go through, and then we'll kind of list out a couple names out there that are sleeper picks that should you take high or not?
Let's just kind of
roll through some important names that you got.
Guys, like, I don't know. Do you have any like guys that I'm missing out of here or stuff that you would bring into the conversations? Because I don't know, we don't really have to go through everything here.
No, absolutely. There's so many names. There just might be a couple guys I want to bring up here and there. For example, Nikolai Ehlers at 84. I really like that pick. That's a very comfortable pick, I would say, at 80. And I wouldn't be against picking him earlier, but if he is in this 80 range, you're for sure getting a good player. I really like his game. He proved last year how effective he is. There's definitely some guys who can pop off. We got with a Martin Nikash, who can really put up the points potentially if he's playing with the guys, playing with the right guys. We got Joel Farabee down at the 114. who also had a fantastic year. Is he gonna have a poor poor year this year? We don't know. Kubalik on that stellar offense of Chicago, I want to point out. Very good.
Yeah, getting
Defenseman.
him in the 9th round is pretty nice.
Yeah. Barzell obviously being at 104. That's because of the system his team plays, and he's not a goal scorer, unfortunately.
Yeah, they have like
that's why he's so low.
No power play points like at all. Like literally almost zero. It's pretty rough there. That's for sure.
We got some consistent defensemen though in here that are very safe picks if you're able to get them this late in Ekblad, Heiskanen, and Shabbat. I do know that Shabbat's on a weaker team, but he's been fairly consistent in getting 50, 60 points-ish, about a 50 on a pace at least for that. And he doesn't miss a lot of games, which I really like. And he will fly under the radar for a lot of people. That's just a couple names. Kessel, I would keep an eye on at near the deadline. That's the only other one I want to bring up quick. But
yeah, I put him up decently high just because of the fact that like he could get traded around exactly. And what is that, 9th round? So like that's not too bad. But
no, not
what I was gonna say about Heiskanen is that like let's be serious, guys. The guy hasn't gotten over like 45 points projected or whatever like for his whole career. So like let's not get ahead of ourselves and take him up there with the big D men. I don't think you should jump that high on him. Let him do it. Let him be a good draft pick this year. Then if he does get 60, 70 points, let him be a deeper steal. Like I can see you take him a round or two earlier if you really really like him.
Yeah,
but you gotta understand Klingberg's been the man on the power play for a long time, and he's very good at it. And this
he's
team is
one of the best
quarterbacks
on the power play.
It is nice to have Heiskanen because he can bring that power play to the second line and stuff like that.
And he's very good moving the puck 5-on-5 and this is just a very talented team in Dallas. I think he's gonna have a very good year. So I think his numbers might be like higher because of that. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that list.
Did you check? Have you checked? Have you looked decently through the draft board? Like, do you have a certain team that you like or anything like that caught your eye?
I haven't dove that deep into it. If I can just look off the top of my head.
Yeah, like let's rip through these teams just to kind of give an idea of what you're looking at if nobody can get onto Twitter or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. If one thing I will say, if you are listening to this, this will be on Twitter by the time this special episode is up. It would help to follow along so you know what we're talking about. We're trying to describe as much, but there's a lot of players that get lost in translation because of it. So it might help you to look.
Yeah, I think I said that off the start.
Yeah, I believe so you did. I just wanted to reiterate that if you're not now, you might, at this portion, you're definitely going to want to look. There's a couple teams. I really like Team 13 with some of the, with the instant point and Stamkos together. That's pretty cool. Morgan Riley and Matthew Tkachuk could have a good year. The goaltending is fantastic on Team 13. I like.
That was the team that I got that Knight and Sorokin combination, and then having Grubauer. I thought, like, if that's something you can do, steal a Knight and Sorokin from those guys that have those goalies already, like that might work out real nice. Yeah,
absolutely.
Like you said, that team does look good. I bunched Matthew Tkachuk and Gaudreau together. And Monahan was even there deep because it's like, well, if I've got these two guys. Like, I'm already half banking on Calgary, so you got to take the approach that, like,
last year, apparently, I just found this out, Monahan was injured all year last year and played through it. He had a leg injury, so that might be why he had a bad year. Don't be super scared of taking him. Don't be terrified of it. I was before I found out that. But
tough years the last couple of years, like COVID and all this sort of stuff, and
absolutely.
like hearing that even verifies it more that
it was a shit.
He'll be much better.
Absolutely.
I gave him some props. Like he's at least in the 60-point range and stuff like that. So I did. I didn't shut him out or anything. So
No, for sure.
But yeah,
but
you have another team that
yeah,
you like?
I got two other teams here that I'm looking at that I'm a really big fan of. The one team for I got three actually. Now I look at team 8 for the consistency I love. There's a lot of guys that are guaranteed to just get decent numbers, but you're not gonna. I don't know if team 8 would win unless Vasilevsky and Anderson just like get them so many points. Team 7 has probably the biggest potential breakout potential, like has the best potential for that. And you got two starting goalies who are fantastic. I really like the Tony DeAngelo could be a sneaky pick, Lee Bjorkstrand. But team 9, lots of young guys on that team that look to be great.
Yeah, I've got the Kyrou, Laffy, and Zegras on 11th, 12th, and 13th round. Like, that would be kind of cool to pull that off.
The team to me that's just looks head and shoulders better, team 10. Like, how is it not? You got Barkov and Ovi as your top guys. Kemper, Fleury, Lankinen. So you got the Chicago and Colorado goaltending. You got Strome, Buchnevich, and Farabee, who if they can have, as long as they don't slip off, they're gonna have a great year. This team has, as long as everyone plays as good as you expect,
McAvoy, Reinhart. Like,
if these guys play as good as we expect them, I think this team is fantastic.
No doubt.
That team, and there's definitely a couple others out there, like having Draisaitl and Kaprizov.
Yeah, like even
is disgusting.
1, like, it's pretty great.
Pettersson, McDavid, and Gensel.
Yeah, exactly.
And Malkin and Barzell. Like, there's some big names on that list. I think Team 6, you're taking a couple of risks with some of these guys down low. But
Team 6 was a definite risk, sort of.
Yeah.
One, so was what team? I want to say.
Hey, but I have one issue.
5, I think it was maybe.
Yeah, I just have
team 5 because I took Mike Smith, waited on the goaltenders on that one. Taking Mike Smith, Khudobin, and Matt Murray in a row at 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah,
which I don't think is too terrible of an option. I think
not awful.
That's passable. I think that's passable. That might get you by and might be as much as you need. But I did go with the Vegas, going with like Marchessault and Carlson, hoping on them doing great, and Dadonov as well. Got a pretty
Kirby
late Kirby Dach,
who I do fear might be pit high. Yeah, just by the hype. I will bring him up in a bit, actually.
Yeah, there's just a lot of guys that I'll take over some of these young guys just because, like, wow, do I feel much more confident in X, Y, or Z or whatever. Yeah. Hey, just because they've been around, like, say, like Jeff Carter picked earlier, like, I'm taking Jeff Carter over Doc just because of the situation he's in.
Yeah, absolutely. First line center for the first week and second line center for the first 2 months, at least. And it might be more than the first week at the first line center. He might be the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, I thought it was like the first month Crosby was over.
It could be a month, but I think he's coming back early. I don't think he's going to be out as long as team says, because it sounds like they've both been ahead of schedule for a bit, it seems like. That's just precautionary. But precautions are there for a reason, right? The one issue I have with you making these teams is you didn't make a Trevor team with a ton of Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, I did. I got Suzuki, Toffoli, and what's his name? Where is he? Gallagher.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
teammates.
You did go.
Massey, Anderson, Barry, Perron, and then Toffoli, Suzuki, Jonathan Toews, Chikrin, Gallagher.
Okay,
Tatar,
now that I look at it, that's definitely more of a Trevor team.
A Trevor team. There you go. Exactly. Yeah.
And
no, it was much easier to do it once I started acting like it was a draft.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Absolutely.
To actually like make picks and stuff like that, but it definitely jumbles it and makes it difficult to kind of understand, like you're saying, like I would definitely take this guy over this guy, or even what I'm saying, like I would even take this guy over that guy and that sort of stuff. I'd jump a couple of rounds ahead.
Completely personal preference with a lot of
one thing I do have to bring up is, where do we put Brady Tkachuk? Because I think I just saw something that just completely blew me away. Like,
Is
where
he
was
not
he?
on anyone's list?
No, I completely missed Brady
Is
Kachuk
it because he's
completely.
not under contract potentially
Yeah,
right now?
exactly. Maybe that's why
Um,
I missed him.
that's why you would
But
have
he
missed
is
him.
15th. He's literally 15th. No, I missed him on the when I was writing stuff
Oh,
down. I had him on my list, but I missed copying him into my actual final list when I was doing all this. So he's not even in this at all. So
yeah.
technically, I have him. If on the last page you'll see, I have him down the bottom right corner, going to like 9110 or whatever. They have
Yeah.
him like 15
And
in the top 250 on fantasy hockey players on
yeah,
the
and
NHL website, which
Sportsnet they
is
have him 33.
like
Um,
that's just mind blowing. Like, are you serious?
I
That's like
understand it
does
because
this
he's
have to
got
do with
30
like
goal potential.
shots and stuff like this? Like, it's got to have all the things, standard
It's
categories, plus all this has got like plus minus and all that
yeah.
crap and stuff like
There's a
that.
lot of stuff with it, and keep in
Yeah.
mind with Brady, he has gotten better every single year he's played in the NHL.
Mhm.
Every year has been a better point year. So
Yeah.
with Brady, I probably put him in the just
Like,
pulling it up.
Do you put him with like all the way up to
I
like the
put him with
50
his
area
brother.
with,
I
like,
put him with
Giroux
his
and
brother. Yeah.
yeah, I know. Like, that's why I put like which Kachuk.
Maybe
Like, can it be both? Because
higher.
in all reality, I'm fine with them being
Yeah.
both. You know, like
Yeah, I definitely have him.
I'd take him in that range. Like,
Yeah.
it seems like people think he can do way better than that. Like, get
He
points per
can.
game, which I'm not. I'm not picking him to get
Not
that.
now. Not this year.
Like I'm not going to pick him to be like, yeah, he's getting an 80
See,
points. You know,
this
I'm
is
not
yeah.
doing that.
This is one where I think everyone else is jumping the gun on Brady Kachuk. I think he's maybe 2 years away from being a consistent point per game guy, and that's not necessarily his fault. I wonder if it's the team sets him back a tiny bit with it.
Well, yeah,
in
exactly. What
Ottawa, they frankly they probably are a little bit ahead of schedule right now. With the rebuild, with how they did their rebuild.
Colin White got hurt, hey?
Yeah, he did.
I hope it's not too long because I'd like to see this.
Yeah, he got an upper
capacity.
body in the game against Toronto. Yeah, because he hit
I
David
haven't heard
Camp.
if it's serious or
I don't know yet either. We will have an update for that on our podcast hopefully this week. Hopefully we'll get some news by tomorrow. Or we'll probably forget about it.
Don't worry about it. Figure it out.
Now, before we get into the final segment, did you have anything else you wanted to go over with this before I list a couple players, whether you want to trade up for in the draft or let them slide?
I guess the only other questions are the other two guys I missed in like Teuvo Teravainen and Logan Couture. Do you actually put them in that 110? Or because one thing I am skeptical on Teuvo, not for a total point getter, but power play points. I don't know if he's actually going to play on the power play.
I think he will. And I think
on the first power play, number one, doing super good because it didn't happen last year and it was an off year for him. So like as long as
that's why I think he's going to be better,
and it'll be kind of fine, and he'll find himself again. I think you pick him in the same sort of area as we were talking with, like
my thought
Logan
is
Couture, I'm saying no though.
I don't think I put Logan. I don't put Logan Couture in. Being I'm not on this San Jose team at all. I don't think they're going to be great. I don't think anyone on that team is going to look particularly impressive.
I'm getting 70 points. Like I have that.
That's a lot.
Do I believe in that? Like,
oh God, no.
I don't.
I believe in 50. 50?
I believe he can get 50, but
yeah,
exactly. Like,
but with Teuvo, I think he's you gotta put him in around the 100-ish mark.
Like I have him getting 70 points.
I think he is a 70-point guy. I really do. He's playing, like you say, he's playing with Aho and Svechnikov most likely this year. That's a hell of a line to find yourself on a good team too.
Exactly.
So and with Dougie Hamilton gone, I think they're gonna try a lot of different new power play people. Where I think he will be safe in there for a while, and they're going to worry more about who the defensemen they need to change are, not the forward group. You know what I mean? At worst, they have a good second power play for him, and that can score. So I think he's pretty well safe. A name that you have, you got two names here that I do want to mention that are in your tasty leftovers. As this is more of a question: is Andrew Mangiapane, is he gonna pop off this year? Maybe
like what?
That's a big question. What do we expect with him?
Like, are we expecting like I'm not expecting 60. I'm not saying I'm comfortable with them getting 60. Not saying they can't do it. It's just like in Guriano's case, I think he's kind of shuffled down in the team and stuff like that. He's fighting with like Radulov for second line minutes, man.
Yeah,
like, it's insane. Like the team's deep. Mangiapane, I do like that 60 points. But like I haven't seen what's gonna work. These are the guys you got to see how it works.
And it's Calgary,
a lot of these
right?
Picks all of a sudden end up like is Mangiapane playing with Monahan and Goudreau all year?
Is he on that top line working?
Yeah. Then all of a sudden he shoots up the rankings. But a lot of these guys you can't rank them high because you just don't know. Why didn't I put Blackwood and Bernier in? Because like I didn't know it was
Blackwood will be
until like
picked,
the last day or two now. Like Blackwood and Bernier probably going higher from what I've heard, just because I guess Blackwood will, because I'm assuming I'm giving him a 50 game sort of year.
Exactly.
I don't think Bernier will steal all the games, but he might right now. And how I have it looking, I got 40 and 40, and that's what I was thinking when I made this, and I still kind of believe it. So like I'm not jumping on him, but like in all reality, you're probably taking one of these goalies. Same with like maybe Nedved, but this is 13 rounds. In all reality, they can go next round and the round after sort of stuff. So
for sure.
But no, I do like what you're saying with pointing out Mangiapane is like
absolutely
his like I didn't even think about him when I saw his name come up. I was like, oh man, like no doubt, hey, like he can find a first line spot.
Absolutely.
Could find a first line spot on the power play, getting rank points. That guy gets so many points. Look at his past and tell me you can't pick him over some of these guys.
True. He is also injured, Hoffman, right now. Keep that in mind. Hoffman is injured. I believe for the first month, maybe 2. I know it's like 5 to 6 weeks, and they just released it. So keep that in your mind. 2 more names. One, because it's not funny. I shouldn't even start that sentence. It's not funny. It's really upsetting. And one that's just genuinely surprising. So let's start with surprise one. It's Samuel Girard. It surprises me seeing him out of the top 70, but when I look at the names ahead of him, it almost doesn't. He's just one of those guys who I understand why he missed, being he's not on the number 1 power play.
Yeah,
but he's probably gonna get 60 points if he's having a good year like he did last year. He's gonna get 60 points, I think. He's someone you might sneak in over Brent Burns or Spurgeon.
Exactly what I was just gonna say was Girard, Weegar, Martinez, and Letty. Don't be scared to take them over Burns.
Exactly.
I'm putting Burns in, and I have him there simply because, like I've said in the other shows, is like, how can this San Jose team be this bad, like constantly? Like, this is actually embarrassing. So 20 goals, you should be able to do that. Come on, Burns, get your shit together. Get 20 goals. If you can do that.
Exactly.
So like 20 and 30 shouldn't be mind blowing for you to do. So, and if he does that, he's great on the power play. That just gives him more points. As you see, he's at 140 fantasy points. And he's ahead of Pietrangelo that I have.
Exactly.
10 power play points because, well, buddy, like Theodore's doing.
Yeah, Theodore's going to be.
You haven't shown since you came here that you're the number 1 power play guy. So
absolutely.
You almost take Burns over Pietrangelo.
For sure.
Like I said, I like what you're saying with that for sure. Weegar, Girard, and Martinez are not lovely on Martinez, but Weegar, Girard, man, they might be pretty sneaky, deep defensive picks that you're just kind of like, oh, hey, they're still there.
Exactly.
Where's my pick?
Exactly that. And then finally the last name, and it just sucks that he can't be should be in the first round pick, and that's Jack Eichel. I know you didn't want to bring him up with all this stuff, but it's
fine. Like I was just getting at the point that it's just like I was actually gonna say Eichel was the one thing I want to say about him is I think we're getting close to him getting traded at the deadline or halfway.
I really hope so.
And
I
that's
hope
really
it's sooner.
that's the best case scenario, I think, right now.
Yeah,
But
which is
yeah,
super awful.
leaving him off this list is basically that's kind of what I'm going for, is what I just said there.
It's
Like
because
half the
Buffalo
season
fucked
he
up.
won't be there. 50 points, I guess. 40 games,
Yeah.
50 points. You're not on this fucking list then,
Yeah,
man. Like I only have
exactly.
defensemen with 50 points on this list, so
He's someone
sorry.
to maybe look at if you think there's potential in being traded and you got an IR space late in the fantasy, you might be able to take a swing on him.
Yeah,
Because
I
when
don't
he
think it's
plays,
insane.
I think he will be over a point a game when he plays, but
Yeah.
it just won't be a lot of games, unfortunately, because
Like
of
I
the
don't find
shitty
it
situation.
insane. Sorry, I just don't find it insane to pick him in this. Like it's not that
No,
crazy
it's
to
not
pick
that
him
crazy to
in like
hold
the
him on
12th
your
or
IR.
13th round, like just at the end of this sort of thing. Because I think you can. It's not bad. Like if he comes back, like if he plays 50 games, like it's not bad at all.
That's not bad at all.
Sort of
That's
thing.
probably 60 points
And
probably 20 goals.
You're only harnessing like we're talking like your 7th forward spot, or like maybe your 3rd defense spot,
exactly.
or something like that.
If you don't have a lot of injuries,
you can get over.
This
is something you can get over by this not working out at all and getting absolutely no points. Like pick a few more forwards in a row then, and don't take that D man or whatever. Hey,
and know what's something that you can do with Jack Eichel that people probably haven't even thought about. If you pick him late, there might be people that down the road are panicking, have their superstar injured, and think Jack Eichel is coming back. If there's lots of rumors around Jack Eichel, sell. Like, trade him.
Imagine what you can get for him when he comes back. If he comes back and gets traded to whatever team.
You might be able to get him for someone else, and what if, for example, he doesn't, like, get healthy in time or whatever? Or something goes wrong, or whatever the case is, they save him for playoffs. Like whatever that couldn't happen. So I would potentially use him as a.
Yeah, I don't think I'd hate my life picking him as my 8th, 7th forward and him not playing for me all year. I don't think I'd hate my life. I think I'd be okay with it.
If I like the guys and they've been consistently healthy in their career, I would be very comfortable doing that. If you feel safe that nobody on your team's gonna get injured all year. Or at least not for long term, I should say, then absolutely. But the minute you start ranking up like 2 other people injured, that's where you gotta start making decisions. And but you should be making them before then, I guess. But before we end this special edition podcast, and we had a game like I just mentioned. I'm gonna list a couple guys. Chase is gonna tell me whether he believes that you should trade up for him or let him slip in the draft. And I'm just going to start it off real quickly. I want to know what you think about Kasperi Kapanen in the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Got him ranked 115th. This is a guy that I kind of dropped a wee bit, but then I didn't drop him at all because I actually have him right at the top of my list of like 60-point guys here. So obviously I think I really, really like this guy. Now taking him after Kessel, Line. I do see a good comparison with Fairby. I do like both of those guys doing the same kind of thing. 70.
Now, the one thing I will ask with it, is he worth potentially taking a round earlier? Is he worth that gamble?
What round is that I have him in?
That would be, just trying to do quick math in my head, I believe would be round 9? 10? No. Here. 8. Late round 8, it would be. Early round 9 for Kapanen.
Yeah.
So, are you comfortable taking him maybe late round 7, early round, like in the 7th round at some point?
Well, what I see is I would be more inclined on taking him over Fairby, possibly.
Yeah.
Who's ranked right ahead of him. Line, most likely, just because of the sketchiness. Maybe Kessel. I don't know if I'd go Kubalik. I might go Barzell, but like past that, man, Probably not. Maybe Fiala and
Maybe.
Oshie, but like
Interesting.
no.
No, not worth the risk, you're saying?
I don't think he like from where I have him ranked. I don't think you go higher. I
Okay,
don't think it's
interesting.
worth it.
Interesting. Next player, Kirby Dack. Do you pick him before the last 2 rounds of your draft?
Like
Being our draft,
of
of
my
our draft, yes.
170.
Yeah. Do you pick him within
Yeah.
2 rounds earlier? So not the last two. You're not your last 2 round picks, because a lot of people take flyers on those.
Oh yeah, so like 10, 11, 10,
Yeah.
10th round, 11th round.
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
You take that risk.
I kind of do, and I kind of don't, just because I'll give you an example. Kairu, Stutzel are an 11th, so I'm not gonna say 10 now. I'm gonna say maybe 11. That's about as high as I'll reach.
Okay.
I don't think I'd go higher than that in a 13.
Interesting. I was just wondering, because with Kirby Dack, there is a lot of potential there, being he could play on the top line. It's a contract year, and this might be the first season we get to see him healthy. Hopefully, that is. He's had a couple freak injuries, which are just unfortunate. Like his wrist, like how he mangled it. That's definitely a player I personally be more comfortable taking higher if you've got the opportunity to take a risk. Or if you haven't yet. If you played it all safe all draft and you need a flyer who could potentially get you a ton of points, I like Kirby Dack. My next player, from the LA Kings, Victor Arvidsson.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that was a spot where, what did I do there? I took him and Dustin Brown on a team because I had Kobe.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I did there. So what's your question? Do you want me to
I guess I didn't ask the question.
Are you sure you want him higher or lower?
He's someone, are you willing to take him in the same spot I just asked about Kirby Dack, maybe even a round earlier? So are you willing to take you have him projected for, the 10th round?
12th round.
12th round?
13.
Are you willing to take him in 11 or 10 then? Are you able to take him a round earlier?
Yeah, with the random kind of guys that are a little unsure, like the Seattle guys in Wenberg, Donskoy, Jack Hughes. I would kind of think about doing that. I don't know if I'd go 10 exactly, but yeah, like Tatar. I don't know if I'd go much higher.
Don't know if you have that much faith in him and potentially popping him off.
I would say 11, because there'd be a couple guys that I could see not being picked, and I could see myself maybe going more over bounce back Arvidsson. But it's hard to take him because of the fact that I'm already placing him in a spot that he hasn't done in the last couple years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that was frankly why I was originally thinking the question, until I realized you had him on I didn't see him on the list, if I'm being honest. I didn't know you had him on there. So the next guy, though, Eli Tolvanen. Is he worth a pick in this draft even? In hours, obviously. These are all referencing our drafts, so guys, keep that in mind.
Yeah. Oh man, that's the thing. I have Sorelli and Dylan Strome. I feel I have them very low compared to what they could possibly do. They are the least fantasy points, other than Kirby Doc, and I'd take Larkin out maybe, because I feel like I'm pumping his tires a little bit too much, giving him 30 and 30. I just like how he's played. And I like Raymond, the way he's been looking.
Yeah,
and
it's just whether Detroit's ever going to score.
As long as he's playing with Raymond, they'll at least be able to score goals decently. So, 30 and 30 would be the max, so to Larkin. So I'd be okay with, maybe taking him out. My last 2 picks in Roslovic and Voracek, I'd almost take those guys higher in a sense, because I feel like the ceiling is much, much higher than that.
Well,
maybe
of course. Roslovic, though, being first line center on a team.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big factor.
That power play, I feel, can Like these guys could get 30 points on the power play in Voracek, Line, Werenski, or something like that. Like that, I don't see that being an insane thing to think. Whether
Yeah.
I believe it is probably obviously not going to happen, but I do like them getting easy 20. Hard to kick out. Same with Zegras. I don't like kicking him out. Yorkenstrand, I feel like I've pushed down quite a bit. I don't know if I could do it, man.
Okay. Yeah. Now I've got one more name for this, and then I've got a different line of questioning for just a couple guys on where you would take them, being how confident are you in a second year. But before I get into that, I have one more player who I wanted to name because we love him on this podcast. Like, he's probably one of our favorite players. Do you have any possibility of someone picking up Yegor Sharangovich?
Oh man, yeah, somebody's definitely picking him. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if somebody picked him in this last little bit here.
Okay, follow-up question. Where would you feel most comfortable taking a risk with him? Like, or not necessarily most comfortable. What is the earliest you would take Sharangovich? The absolute earliest in this draft.
Probably with that last round that I did, 13.
The last round. Interesting.
That's just someone as high as I could probably go. It's just like I'm gonna list you the names here, like Lee. I guess I could probably drop Laffy and Verhage out for him.
Right.
Zuccarello, Keisher, like these guys are gonna probably do good. Maybe you draw Keisher out because you know he's gonna get hurt because you just know. I don't know. He's gonna miss 20 games, I guess. Like
doesn't
for sure,
score a lot either,
I guess. Like Robertson, like he's gonna be dynamite for Dallas. I feel like
I would hold that for a second because that's my next guy I'm asking about.
Okay, yeah, but anyways, like Dadonov, McCanner, and Eberle are in that area, so
yep, absolutely. Now I just got a couple more because everyone is super invested in these young players breaking out. So the line of question I'm gonna ask guys who have either played a season in the league or two, and whether you think they're gonna for sure be good enough, and where is the highest you take them as well. Absolute highest. So I'm just gonna rifle off a couple names. You just list how high and if or why they're not gonna have a good season or why they will. Okay.
Just real quick, I just want to say that like I do like a floor and consistency and past history more than I like somebody who could pop off.
Absolutely. But that's like why this
more in a why I'm saying this, and a perfect example is Dustin Brown being picked 13. You take him. You do. You do take him up this high, everybody. You actually do. This guy's been actually very good, and he's right beside Kopi, and they're surrounded with more players. Like there's no if you look at his past history, I don't see why that would just fall out this year. Like there's no reason for it. Everything around it is better, sort of stuff. So like I'd love to take Doc or somebody or whatever. Like some of these guys put them way over. Like they're way better than this guy or something like that. Yeah. I like to see it more than believe it, especially with fantasy. You got to know what you're getting for sure.
Absolutely.
You got to wait for your fucking pop off guys. That's why every year there is, I got this guy this deep or whatever. Because you just can't risk it. You just can't risk it all
Absolutely
the time.
Not. Not all the time.
Anyways, sorry.
But this questioning is I'm going to rephrase how I'm wording these questions then. Who is the one guy you're willing to take a chance on? So if you're able to have one free young guy pick, let's say, you have to pick a guy who's going to be a breakout player, let's say. Who is that young guy, and is it worth it? Now, first one.
That's something I kind of want to figure out. Maybe we can try to hammer out, because obviously I did my 170. I'm going to try to make a list of like exactly those guys, those young breakout guys. I'll give you another chalkboard of like who these guys that I like, and I don't know if I'll try to rank them. We'll see if I have time for that crap.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, these will just be some names that are already ready to put on that board. Okay. There will be some guys that are ranked high, and if they are already ranked high, just tell me if they're worth that high of a pick. So first, you already said the name Jason Robertson. is he gonna have another great year, or is he gonna have the sophomore slump?
I don't think he'll have the sophomore slump. I think he was on pace for like a 60-ish
Yep.
sort of year there.
Yeah, I think it's
Don't
25 goals, 35 assists on pace for ish, was it not? Because I think he scored 18. I'm gonna
yeah,
look right
so
now. Sorry,
yeah.
continue.
No, like I'm not too scared of him. The reason I say that is because of the guys that he's got surrounding him. Like I was kind of saying with Gurianov, like he's fighting Radulov for the second line here. Like
Yeah.
Robertson's got lots of guys to play with. Rupe was unreal when Sagan was not there. That was actually mind blowing. I've always loved this guy, but he William Karlsson that out sort of thing. Like that was great, man. You know, so I'm almost more scared of. I'd almost say Rupe is going to have more of a sophomore-ish slump.
Okay.
Just off of that year because he was way too good. Like that was
yes, he was
point per game above that. Like that's how he was playing last year. Like that's why Robertson looks so good as well.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Climbed up that rookie race and stuff. So like, I'm okay with Robertson. I think where I've picked him, you can tell me it's too high.
Yeah,
you can tell me it's a little too high for sure because I'm more comfortable with like a 50 point sort of year out of him, but I'm just not scared to say he'll get 60. So.
Absolutely. One thing I will say about him, he scored 17 goals and was on about a 75 point pace for the year. That's
yeah.
That's
I see why I feel comfortable about 60.
Yeah, no kidding. He was incredible. He was incredible. He had 45 points in 51 games. That's like a 70-ish point pace.
Yeah, and like a sophomore slump here is like going back to like
50, 40.
Like 40 points.
Yeah, probably 40
like
point
not
year.
being stupidly awesome and being on your fan. Like you basically need a guy to be getting 50 point average to be putting in your lineup sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Like our league is 9 forwards, 4D, and a util. So.
Yep.
Anyways.
Next guy, I have Adam Boquist. Do you have him being a potential sleeper defenseman to take?
I do have him ranked higher than Bean. Definitely. I think I had him written down. I'm not even sure if I had him written down. No, I didn't. But when I was looking at the teams and stuff like that, I wrote him down and I didn't write down Bean because I do think
Boquist should take the power play. Yeah, exactly. And he might play with
He might play with Laurent. Yeah, exactly. So it all depends how that goes. He's definitely a player to watch. Watch for this guy. Is he going to be on the first line power play? Is he going to be able to take
There's
that?
A good chance. He did it in Chicago.
Highest point getter on Chicago last year for defense,
I
believe.
Yep.
So really watch out for this guy. I'm not putting him up there too high, but yeah, he's definitely a guy you're going to want to think about after you get out of your 13th round, getting like a third D man.
Yeah,
he'd be a nice
for
third
sure.
D man probably, but if you can get him as a fourth D man, I feel you're going to feel a lot more safer just because yes, these guys sound and look good and could be in those spots, but that doesn't mean this team's going to do enough for that guy to be productive for your team. So
for sure. All right, I just have 4 more names left before we finish this off.
Cool.
To start with, I have in Anaheim Trevor Zegras. I know he was up and down last year. A lot of people are picking him to be a big Calder favorite this year. Do you have him worth taking a risk on before your last 2 picks, let's say? How much faith do you have in Trevor Zegras this year? Keep in mind, we're not talking career, so this year.
I think I'd almost have more faith this year than next year because Getzlaf and a couple pieces might not be there.
Right. Yeah.
Like that.
And he might be forced to be that number 1 center.
Yeah, and he's really gonna be by himself possibly next year. Like that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, he might just have Comtois.
But like I like to see I have him 13th round, which I'm noticing getting into these first 13 rounds is a very difficult thing for a player because you gotta be really actually good. So I am pumping his tires quite a bit. I can't take him higher though. Like maybe I did take Laffy at 12. So yeah, but I took Laffy there because Panarin.
Yeah.
like
Exactly,
playing
right?
with Panarin. Like Zegras, he ain't playing with anybody. Like you're
Nope.
playing with Comtois, who like that's your guy. And like I said, you might have less pieces next year. So I don't know if I can take him higher than where I have him really.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's just another name for that. Another name who on a bad team, but my thought process with it, someone has to score. How will Dylan Cousins do in his first season with Buffalo? Is
Oh, I
he
know
is he
exactly.
worth a last pick of the draft?
I think I'm the wrong guy to ask because I actually have no idea.
Okay.
Like I literally I don't know what's gonna
Yeah,
happen with him. I have
absolutely.
no idea if he's gonna play center. I have no idea if he's gonna
That's
play
yeah.
wing.
He's
I have
playing
no
center.
idea who
He
he would
he is
even
playing
play with.
tops. He is gonna play top six center, is what I've read. That's what their coach came out and said.
Yeah,
Um,
he's at least a decently sized guy. So
yeah, he's 6 foot
one, I
two.
think this is a flyer. I think this is your like everybody's gonna forget about him, and you're gonna
Yep,
pick him,
six
and
foot
you're gonna be
three.
laughing your ass off, man. Because one thing that I noticed that's still blowing me away today is Buffalo was like mid-pack power play. They still have Darlene. Skinner has to do something with his life, and if he doesn't, it doesn't matter because you have Olofsson, and he's unreal on the power play. Very sad I didn't get him onto my list, but um, I just assumed not doing as well. That's why I have Darlene down a little bit. But
Yeah,
this power play could be very good, and Cousins can be part of that. So, and in all reality, he probably will be. Who else is going to be part of that offensive ability sort of stuff?
and
There
that's
is
where I
no one
came
else.
out with Buffalo. Nobody else is gonna score. So
Yeah, man. No, I do like that. I could not tell you where to take him. Like for
interesting.
sure after this, I don't. You can't take him after Pat or in the top 170.
Yeah,
That's
no.
psychotic. But you take him. Somebody you have to draft him. Somebody has to draft him. Is what I'm getting at. Like
Yeah,
he can't be left sitting there because we're all gonna be scrambling to pick him up. I think,
for
but
sure.
it all depends how many bench spots you have and shit.
Yep. So I just got two more names. May have heard of them, but we got one. Cole Caulfield. Where is the earliest you pick Cole Caulfield? Because I'm sure that's a name people are going to ask the most of. Being technically is a rookie this year, not playing
Yeah.
25 games last year, but the limited games he played and the Stanley Cup run, he was phenomenal. Does
Yeah,
he have that rookie season everyone expects him to have, and is he worth taking picked? If so,
I don't.
where?
Like I think what people are thinking are 60 points at least, right?
Yep.
It
And
seems like it.
goals,
Yeah,
potentially 30 goals is a big thing to bring up too. That's a lot
yeah,
of
and
points.
that's something I couldn't get myself to. The problem I have the most with this is how he actually slots up in the lineup. Like that is actually my biggest problem because you have better, greater players that get just whack points in Hoffman and Toffoli and some of these guys and the
Yeah.
balances that you've had with Anderson on some of these lines. Gallagher is still great. I have him ranked quite high because I do think he'll have a better year. Don't pick him because he's going to get hurt. I'm fine with that sort of stuff. But like, um, yeah, man, I can't do it. I got him at 20 and 30 is what I got him at for points. I can't come across it unless he
Interesting.
somehow finds his way with Suzuki all year and Hoffman or whoever you got on that line, and that line is just dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Like
Yeah.
it's the only way I see him getting anywhere close to 60 points. But like I'm
That's crazy.
30 goals, and no way
No.
he gets 30 goals
No
in my
way.
eyes.
Hear that?
Like
Hot
no,
take. Hot take. I'm gonna hold you to that all
okay,
season if he gets 30.
yeah.
I am the biggest Cole Caulfield fan for one season. Just because you said that.
Yeah, I think he got like half as many goals as assists during this time so far, which doesn't really truly mean everything, but I don't see him being the goal scorer guy. They've got Hoffman, they've got Toffoli, like they got guys that can put the puck in the net. They don't
Yeah.
there isn't a gaping hole for Caulfield to fill, is what I'm getting at. It is on the second power play and like maybe secondary scoring and stuff like that. But as a top line, I feel like it can't, and I don't know if it will work fully all year for Suzuki and Caulfield to be there. And That's
Yep.
just that's my feeling.
Yeah, it's definitely a realistic fear, being that he is a Montreal Canadian and won't score as much. They're a team that doesn't typically score that much. They've downgraded big time via last year. Not having Shea Weber all year. They lost Philip Deneau, their number one center, and these young guys, and Kotkaniemi, who I completely forgot.
Also clearly I'm also pumping Toffoli's tires. Like, I put down that he's going to get 40 goals this year, which is, like I said, that's probably the one name that I've really been like, that's as high as she goes, but I'm actually putting this down
high.
sort of thing.
Yeah. It's the one you shot for the moon with.
Yeah, exactly. I believe in him getting the more goals than Caulfield will, but in all reality, I can see him getting 30 if Toffoli and Hoffman are getting much less goals or something like that. So it's not a crazy world, but I'm not looking that way.
Interesting. Final player, and probably the most intriguing player because he was the most intriguing contract to sign this offseason, Kirill Kaprizov. Now, this is a tough one, I will say off the start, because of how he played last year and how his age. He is 25, I believe, now. I believe he just turned 25 recently. Is he worth being picked before the third round? Let's say. Is he worth being picked over a likes of Mark Scheifele, a Carlson, a John Carlson? Is he in that pushing that top 20? Let's say. Top 25. Because he's 25 right now. Is it worth it to pick him, let's say, 17 to 20-ish in that range? Because this is a big question, because I know a lot of people have him as he is a bona fide superstar already. They believe it, and there's a lot of professionals that say this, that he might have 90 plus point potential, because he does. He does. From what we have seen, he does. Yeah, is it this year?
No.
That he can do it?
Unless Rossi's just lightning and plays with him all year, then I'll give him 90 points. But I'm okay with him getting 80. I can see him getting 90, but I'm not really comfortable saying that he'll actually do that. I'm more okay. I'm not really sure about 40 here. I think that's a little
really
excessive with the team that he's on. Unless their power play is light years better than it was last year, I don't see. Looking at this now, I'd probably take him last out of that group of 10 guys. 10 guys.
Really interesting that you say that. So because I
guarantee. What does that mean? 25. Hey, so
25 is late second round.
That is in our 13 team. That's the second last pick before the last guy gets to pick there. So
exactly. So is he? Frankly, how about I just ask that? Is he a second round pick worthy player?
Now that I see it, now that I have him there, no, I don't think you take him there.
You don't think you pick him second round? You think he's dropped third round? Early third?
Early third for sure is what.
All right.
What you go with? Because like I'm saying, I'm looking at this. I took Gensel and Pedersen after him.
Yeah.
I probably feel a little bit more safer about those guys. Same with Stone, Kopitar, and
Crosby.
In all reality, Crosby up past those guys if I really felt like it. But
if
I heard more and I know more concrete of when he's coming back and he's only going to miss 10 games or something that.
Yeah, if he misses 10 or less games,
8 or something. Yeah,
if he misses 10 or less, then I think he will be getting 80 points plus this year, Crosby. I think he's definitely getting 80 points if he only misses 10 or less. So that's really what it depends on. And with Kaprizov, I just know how intrigued everyone is about this guy because you don't know where to pick him. You really don't. And being that this is only his second season, and it's not like he's a 20-year-old in his second season. He's a 25-year-old. He's done it in the KHL. He was that good in the KHL. And I guess we'll just have to see if he's able to carry this Minnesota team again, and just go from there, right? So anyways, that is all we got for this fantasy board. Be sure to check out our Twitter, like we mentioned probably 80 times in this podcast, to follow along with it. It will be way easier. Go check it out. Show it some love. Chase worked super, super hard on it. And like he said, our brains have been mush. We've been trying to get this done all day. all day. And
if
it just
sounds like I'm a little fuzzy, it's probably because I'm a little fuzzy.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not far behind him. And we're having to get all this stuff done early, being that I'm going on vacation a couple days for less than a week. So we got to rake in a whole bunch of stuff and get it done.
Yeah,
but
try to get you ready before the old season.
Yeah, before the old season starts, because I get back the day the puck drops for day one. So I'll be sure not to miss a game. Hopefully you guys aren't. Go check us out on social medias and everything. Show us some love for this. This has been our special fantasy podcast episode. Let us know if you guys do like this stuff, because we will continue to do way more of these bonus episodes where maybe not all three of us can be in it. Jordan, of course, you can notice he wasn't here today. But Chase and I are constantly going to be doing other stuff as well. And Jordan, he will be back for tomorrow's episode, or for Friday's episode. My apologies. So anyways, I hope you guys have a good week. We'll catch you guys on the next podcast. Get ready for the start of the season.
Peace out.